What's good, my beautiful babies? This is the most interactive sports talk show anywhere. It's Offsides, Mark, Ryan, and Diesel, and we are the Fan Upstate, rolling on until 7 o'clock p.m. today. Thrilled to be here with you, absolutely jam-packed on a championship Friday edition of the most interactive sports talk show anywhere. Offsides with Mark, Ryan, and Diesel right here on the Fan Upstate. Here's what's coming up on the show today. My college football playoff scenarios leaves out somebody. You're darn right it does, and I'm going to stand by that, and we'll see if I'm right or we'll see if I'm wrong. We've got some championship previews of all of the game's actions. We will get your action satisfaction on the show today. We've got a transfer portal update for you. Sad to say, Gamecock fans, but it looks like the intel that I had yesterday was completely and totally on point. We've got your questions for our Heisman Trophy voter, Brent Beard, joining us at 4 o'clock p.m. today. I don't understand the favorite in this. The betting favorite in this, there's a clear betting favorite. I'm not on the side of that. Plus, is there any hope in the college football playoff era for middle-of-the-road teams like a South Carolina? You might like to hear what I have to say. And, my friends, a very, very special interview today. If you find the Late Kick Show with Josh Pate to be one of the best shows in America, what if I take you behind the scenes? Like I was able to sit in behind the scenes on that show in Nashville, Tennessee, in the Country Music Television building in downtown Nashville. We go behind the scenes with their producer Jesse, coming your way at 5:20 p.m. today. Then we've got our Wise Guys Wisdom Picks. Now, you might notice if you are on the stream right now on YouTube, if you happen to find yourself on this stream, it is not Diesel that sits here, but it is the flowing locks, the man-child himself, Lonzo, nothing but Reitzel, here joining us today from 3 o'clock until 7 p.m. Lonzo, you have had yourself a long day, sir. And I truly do appreciate you being here. I know that you are here because there was no other choice, but I still appreciate you being here, and I want you to know that, sir.
I don't believe you, but the thing is, I sometimes think I'm getting older. Can I handle working like not just all day, but all day? And so we're going to find out. I could collapse somewhere around 5:35 or so, and then Mark will have to come around here and move me aside and finish the show himself.
I'm going to give you, Alonso, some very, very good news coming your way in about 5 minutes. And I want to give you guys some news as well. But let's get this party kickstarted on the carpro.com text line today at 71307. Just start your text with the word fan and away you go on the show. Also want to remind you that today is also your last day to get. Next week will be the penultimate, okay, which is second to last. But this week, all right, there are 3 more upset picks left. If you have not gotten your championship picks in today, if you have not gotten your championship picks in, now is the time to do so. Okay, now is the time to do so. So what would you say we open by giving you some updated upset pick standings? Lonzo, this is incredibly humiliating for me, man. Incredibly humiliating. Just Jess is in 46th place with a half a point. My old man, Pops, has a point in 44th place. Tied for 44th is Cowboy Noel with 1. In 43rd place, we've got John G with a point and a half. 41st place, we've got a tie. Rodney Mintz and Wolverine Joe, 2.5 points. In 40th place, we've got Hurricane Jeff with 3. In 39th place, you've got the host of the show, Mark Ryan, 3.5 upset pick points for the entire year. And Lonzo, I've actually gotten 3 upset picks right.
So what you're saying is I could pick today and beat you.
Pick, please do. You have until 7 o'clock p.m.
Oh, I have an upset pick. I made it this morning, and I'm willing to do it again today.
What is it? What do you got?
Oklahoma over Texas.
Well, Oklahoma's that's an ineligible pick because
Why?
Oklahoma's not in the
Big
12 championship.
Not Oklahoma.
The other one.
Yeah, I'm tired. I just want to point out I'm tired.
It is a long day.
Whoever's fighting.
Oklahoma State.
That's
Oklahoma
how did
State.
I miss that?
Yeah.
So I was partly right. So Oklahoma State over Texas.
Yeah, if you got that pick, Alonso, for the year, you would already be in 21st place. Okay, for the year. So I'm in 39th place with 3.5. We've got John Corley with 4, Thomas Hell with 4, Will G with 4.5, Mongo with 5, Michigan J Todd with 5, Emerson M with 5. We've got Buckeye Brian in 32nd place with 5.5, J Rock with 7, Spur Daddy and Reese Davis from College Game Day and Scotty Mack all have 8. We've got JC with 9.5, Isaac with 10, Roger Carper's in 25th place with 10.5, and Diesel's in 24th. Diesel got Kentucky over Louisville last week. He was behind me all year until that pick. Now he's in 24th place. Now to the top half of the standings. We've got Kelly Ford with 12.5. Kevin H. in 22nd place with 13.5. We've got Brandon Gibson with 16th. He's in 21st place. Now to the top 20. I feel like I am an auctioneer right now. Now look in the left hand, you'll find a watch. In the 20th place, we've got Logan Simpson, 16.5 points. In 18th place, Justin L. and Gamecocks Forever, 18.5 points. We've got Delvin, 19.5 points. He's in 17th place. Delano, the truck driver's got 20 points. He's in 16th. Stanford Steve has 21 points. He's in 15th place. Dan B. has 23 points. He's in 14th. Mad Craft has 24 points, 13th place. In 12th place, we've got Minor 49er with 25 points. Now we've got a tie for 10th. Leprechaun of Lyman, Hiddly-hoo, and Sherb, they've got 25.5 points. In 9th place, it's Kyle D, 27 points. 8th place, Gold Rush, 28 points. 7th place, our dear friend Josh Pate, 28.5 points. In 6th place, it's none other than Pat McAfee, 30.5 points. Now to our top 5. Last year's champion, E. Thoughty, 32 points in 5th place. Mark L.O. Ducks in 4th place with 34.5 points. In 3rd place, we've got Brandon with 35. 2nd place, how about this? Lee Corso with 36 points and leading the way. Typically speaking, my friends, it is 50 points that will win this thing. 50 points wins it. Joe D leads the way with 37 points. Those are the current and up-to-date upset pick standings. You must get your upset pick in today for us over the course of the show. All right? Do not think you do not have a chance to get in this thing. You most certainly do. The leader has 37 points. If that means that if you hit a 13-point upset this week, first couple weeks of bowl season, and the final couple weeks of bowl season, you could win this entire thing. 3 correct picks in 3 weeks. There you have it, my friends. All you need to do to get your upset pick in, text it to us on the carpro.com text line 71307. Just start your text with the word fan and away you go. Give us your name, give us your game, and then give us your point spread. Now, here is the good news for Lonzo, or good or bad, depending on how you slice it. Lonzo, I do not believe Ohio State is out of the college football playoff picture. I do not believe Ohio State is out.
They should be.
I believe
they couldn't beat Michigan. They don't deserve to be in there.
I believe that Texas is more out than people realize, and a lot of folks are putting odds on Texas. Now, here's the reality of the situation, guys. We don't know how a committee is going to vote. This isn't like an objective computer black and white thing. You know, this is you're trying to guess and predict human behavior. But here's why I think Texas is in trouble, and here's why I think Ohio State is still alive. Should Alabama beat Georgia, folks are going to say, well, Texas beat Alabama, that has to count. It does count, and it would count for me, okay? But I don't think it's going to matter as much to the committee as the fact that Alabama just beat the number 1 team in America. Just beat them, okay? Literally just beat them. So if Alabama were to beat Georgia, I think that's going to supersede Texas beating Alabama in September. Well, Mark Ryan, you say Texas has been ahead of Alabama this entire time for that very reason. Yeah, but they've never had a chance to beat number one before. Now they do. All right, now they do. I believe that Georgia is obviously in with a win. Okay, I think they're in the college football playoff with a win. And I think Georgia is also in the college football playoff with a loss if FSU also loses. Okay, so in other words, if Alabama beats Georgia, then Alabama's in. If Georgia beats Alabama, then Georgia's in. But if Georgia loses to Alabama, they could still be in so long as Florida State loses. Okay? Michigan is obviously in with a win and out with a loss. Washington, obviously in with a win and out with a loss. Florida State, darn well should be in with a win and out with a loss. It is the same with Oregon. People say, well, Oregon's resume isn't what Texas's is. It doesn't matter that much. The resume argument is dumb. It really is. You know, it's you have such a small sample size. How could you ever make any determination there on such a small sample size? Georgia tried to play Oklahoma this year. They couldn't play Oklahoma this year because Oklahoma is transferring to the SEC next year, right? So a lot of this stuff you can't even control. You can't even control a lot of this stuff. So anyway, guys, four most likely college football playoff picks to me, like what am I most confident in? I'm confident in Georgia. I'm confident in Michigan. I'm confident in Oregon. I'm confident in those three teams being in. And then I think it gets hairy. I think if Florida State wins, Florida State is in. But now you're having the very real scenario by which you are finding that their backup quarterback, Tate Rodemaker, might be out. He's in the concussion protocol. That might be out. He might be out right now. So anyway, guys, if you would be so kind, hit us with, let's do a little contest today, okay? Hit us with your 4 college football playoff picks, okay? Your 4 college football playoff picks. Because when we convene here on Monday, we're going to know who the 4 are. I think Texas is just about done. I think Texas is just about done because I believe that Ohio State is still going to be ahead of Texas. They're ahead of Texas right now. I'm not sure what beating Oklahoma State does to put Texas ahead of Ohio State. I'm not sure what it does. Well, Mark, it means they're a conference champion. Okay, but who's better? Ohio State's playing Texas tomorrow. Who are you picking? Merit has to matter. Florida State, if they're undefeated, should be in. You don't get to assume that Florida State is less of a team because they're without their quarterback. Lonzo, you could remind me who won the national championship in the first ever playoff when their starting quarterback went down and when their backup quarterback went down.
That would be Ohio State.
Who could that be? And what would have happened if we assumed, oh, no, they got to play Cardale Jones. They have no shot. You're not going to beat Alabama with your third string quarterback. Let's not even put them in the game. Yeah. Ohio State won the national championship with that cat. Okay? They won with that cat. So you can't assume that Florida State is less than. You can't do that. If they've earned the right to be in, they've earned the right to be in. If you've lost a game, then you have much less bargaining power, right? But what I want to know from you guys right now, your 4 most confident college football playoff picks. I'm going Georgia, Michigan, Oregon, Florida State. Then I think Georgia waxes Florida State without Jordan Travis. I think Oregon, Michigan is a game for the ages, and I love Oregon's shot in that one. But I don't mean to be the dude that goes chalk with you guys today. I don't mean to be that dude, but I do believe, my friends, we're looking at Georgia, Michigan, Oregon, and Florida State. I think Florida State, regardless of the quarterback situation, has come too far only to come this far, right? I don't think a team that lost to Kentucky a week ago is going to beat the rest of what Florida State has to offer. So, guys, let me get your college football playoff picks. All right. Now, what's on the line? Your choice. You either get a shout out, okay, on the show, whatever you want to shout out Monday, or I will buy you a beverage. Okay. That's on the line, but you have to get the 4 playoff teams right. You got to get them right. That's what's on the line. 71307. Just start your text with the word fan, and away you go. Doesn't have to be an adult beverage. It can be any beverage, but you and I will share a beverage together, okay? And if you have the 4 playoff picks, you win. But you got to get the 4 teams right. I'm going Georgia, Michigan, Oregon, Florida State. Lonzo, who do you got? Who are the 4 that are in? I know you've had a long day, and I'm making your brain work way too hard.
No, it doesn't have to work hard because I know it's boring, but I'm going chalk too. And I just don't see, I think we're going to, after the weekend's over, we're going to have 4 undefeated teams. And with those 4 undefeated teams, you can't put anyone in past
Well, wait
them.
a minute. Georgia's unbeaten.
Right.
Michigan's unbeaten. Florida State's unbeaten. So you're saying Washington beats Oregon?
Wow, man, am I that tired? No, that's not what I'm saying. Alabama's going to upset Georgia. Alabama's going to be in. Michigan's going to be in. Oregon's going to be in. And Florida State's going to be in.
So you believe
that Alabama can get in because Nick Saban put it out there and said that there's no way that an SEC team it would be disrespectful for them to not be in there because he knows Nick Saban has the confidence that he's going to beat Georgia. I don't care what people have been saying that, Georgia's been dominant all year. No, they have not. It's not Georgia from last year or the year before. They can be beat. I think Alabama beats them.
But what surprises me about what you just said is you have
Alabama would go in ahead of Ohio State. Yes.
But then you have Georgia out with a loss.
I do.
See, and this is the thing to me, folks.
Because I don't think they put 2 SEC teams in this year.
This is the thing to me.
But you know what? Next year, we don't have to worry about it because next year, all this is taken care of.
But see, the thing is, Lonzo, I like the games that have no safety net. I love that Michigan, Ohio State has no safety net. You know, I love that game is not just for seeding, you know, where it's like it's live and die. And folks, there is a very real quality versus quantity argument. We're getting a 12-team playoff. What is that going to give you? That's going to give you quantity. In other words, more games are going to matter, right? That's what you get with the college football playoff expanding. What you lose is the quality of the very best games dips, because the reason why Michigan, Ohio State is at a fever pitch and Oregon, Washington is at a fever pitch tonight is because that game means everything. There is no, okay, you win, who cares? You're the Pac-12 champion. You'll be the 4 seed. We'll be the 9 seed. You win, who cares? We're both in. There is no more of that. So you get the quantity of more games mattering with an expanded playoff, but you lose the quality of the best games not having a safety net because the regular season already is a playoff. Last week, Michigan, Ohio State was a playoff game. Okay. I believe Texas is kind of already eliminated. All right. Like I think if Alabama beats Georgia, Alabama's in. I think Georgia's most likely in as well. And I believe that Ohio State has a very legit argument to get in over Texas too. I really, really do. So there you go. To show you the very polarizing element of what we do here at the Fan Upstate, we have texts that say Lonzo is a superstar, and another one that says Lonzo has to go. Both of those have come in the first 15
By the
minutes.
way, the latter is right. Not the former. I've already screwed up twice in the first 20 minutes of the show from lack of focus, and I apologize.
All right.
This is a day, not like he doesn't think he could do it any day, where Mark, that's his name, can just run me into the ground because I'm trying. I really am trying, and
I
it's
would never
just
do
not.
that to you, Lonzo. I would never.
Never, ever.
Okay, Lonzo. So you're going Alabama, Michigan, Oregon, and Florida State. Is that
Yes,
right?
I am sticking with
Okay.
that, and I
Alabama.
believe Michigan's going to win it all. I hate it, but I think they're going to win the whole
They were
thing.
my pick when the year began.
And then Harbaugh is going to go to the NFL, and they're going to strip the wins after they find out when the NCAA finishes their investigation 3 years from now.
Well, that's the dumbest thing in the world, because like if you punish your kids for something they do 3 years from now, does it really matter? Right? Does it really matter? Strip the wins. Ooh, strip the wins. That's why everyone.
It's been done at Michigan before.
Yeah,
they've had wins stripped. You know,
and you know what's BS about them, Lonzo? And I'm not sure if you've heard this, but I've been on the train that they should be ineligible for the college football playoff because of what we know about them. And then you would say, well, Mark Ryan, what do you make of Bobby Petrino yesterday saying that Clemson always knew their signs? Look, guys, if you are pitching to me and I am the cleanup hitter of the Tampa Bay Rays, okay, and I see your sign, I don't consider that cheating. But if I've used illegal technology to steal your signs and I'm banging trash cans, that is cheating. If I see it with my own eyes, it isn't cheating. If I've used illegal technology, it is. I hope we can see the difference there. All right, guys, we need your upset picks. We need your college football playoff picks. What four are ultimately going to be in? And if you're right, you get your choice of special recognition on this show, of a shout out, whatever you want on this show. Or you and I will coordinate for me to get you a beverage, and you and I hang and have a beverage together. But I need your four college football playoff teams. I'm going Georgia, Michigan, Oregon, and Florida State. Lonzo's going Alabama, Michigan, Oregon, Florida State. What are you going with? Hit us on the carpro.com text line. And Offsides, we'll be back right after this. Alabama over Georgia. Texter says, just verifying that this is the fan upstate. Waving my hand to you. Hi, sir. Hello. This is very much that show. Please get your college football playoff picks in for our challenge today. Madcraft says, I'm taking Washington plus 9.5 over Oregon. Sherb is coming in with his 4 college football playoff picks. He is going Alabama, Michigan, Oregon, and Georgia. Alabama, Michigan, Oregon, and Georgia are his picks. Trey from Kentucky getting in as well. Georgia, Michigan, Washington, and Texas. Waiter, I'll have one of what he's having. Trey's got the good stuff. Washington and Texas. Madcraft has gone mad. Michigan, Washington, Georgia, and Texas. Spartanburg J. There's a lot of Washington picks here. Based on what? Based on what exactly? Like, are you guys watching current form in college football? Do you know that Oregon has won their last 6 games by an average of 26 points per game? Do you realize that Washington's last 8 wins have all been by 10 points or less? Michigan last 6, average margin of victory, 26 points a game. Oregon's last 6 games. Are we paying attention to what's going on here? Spur Daddy says Georgia, Michigan, Oregon, and Texas. I think Texas is on life alert, man. I do. I just don't see the committee going there. I really don't. And we're trying to predict what the committee is going to do. I don't see the committee going there. Texter says, Mark, Ducks, Louisville, Michigan, and Alabama. Brian, Louisville's already eliminated. Kentucky eliminated them last week. Can we stop with this? Louisville has 2 losses. Michigan loses. I have word that Iowa has changed their signs. Lonzo, I have the most hilarious stat for you this week. I like to say stats are like bikinis. They show some things, but sadly not all. But here is the stat for you this week, Lonzo. Do you know among 130 teams in the country, what is Iowa ranked on offense?
I'm going to go with 103.
Iowa has the worst offense in America, Lonzo. They are number 130. And with the worst offense in America by far, they are 10-2. They won their division, and they're in the Big Ten championship game. Now, Lonzo, I'm asking you this.
Defense.
Yeah, right? Defense. Blank wins championships. At least it did. What is it? Is that the Legends and the Losers division? That's the Losers division, right? In the Big Ten?
It has been.
Yeah, certainly. So let me ask you this, Lonzo. This is also a true bet that you're not going to believe, okay? The over-under point total for Iowa in the first half. Remember, they have the worst offense in college football. Michigan has the best defense, okay? So how many points over-under, Lonzo? How many points is the over-under for Iowa in the first half against Michigan? How many points?
They don't count negative, right?
They don't count negative.
So when you give the other team points, that would be I'm going to go 0.
It can't be 0.
Also 3 then. All right.
The actual over-under, Lonzo, for Iowa in the first half tomorrow against Michigan is 0.5 points. That's an actual number for them in the first half. In other words, if they score more than the 40-year-old virgin, then you win. You win. If they fail to score, you lose. Or if you take the under, you win. You're just like, that's an insult, right? I mean, this team is in a Power 5.
Bulletin board material doesn't work when you're really that bad. I mean, you can put it up there on the bulletin board. If you're the worst offense, it's probably not going to help.
Mark, did you see that police are investigating an Oklahoma State frat house because a dead Longhorn was found in front of it?
I just saw a couple stories about that.
Really?
Yeah, I thought it was inside. I didn't realize it was outside.
Wow. Ugh. That's grisly. That is really grisly. Texters.
I would ask them how the stakes were, but that's just me.
No. Spartanburg J says, do not trust Bo Nix. Can I just say this, ladies and gentlemen? We're going to have Brent Beard on Bo Nix is now a pretty sizable favorite to win the Heisman Trophy. When are we going to stop making this award a caricature of itself, where it says it goes to college football's most outstanding player, but as you know, it goes to the quarterback on a national championship contending team? So when all is said and done, you have 3 or 4 guys who can win it out of hundreds of thousands who play. And what I'm going to tell you is, of everyone I've seen play football this year, Jaden Daniels is by far the best player. By far. Now, LSU has 3 losses. That's okay. Tim Tebow won the Heisman Trophy when Florida had 3 losses. Why are we doing this garbage where, like you've got to be a national championship contender and great in order to win the Heisman? Too, Lonzo, why this would tick me off, Bo Nix winning the Heisman? Because Oregon and all of their NIL money put ads all over every single sports website in September for Bo Nix to win the Heisman. And him winning the Heisman would tell me that worked, that ad campaign worked, that
they do that.
money worked.
I mean, every school does that every year, though. They put up their campaigns because it's about popularity. It's not about the best player in the sport. If it was, there are players that are better than a quarterback every year, and only a quarterback seems to win this.
I've seen it, Lonzo, by the schools. I haven't seen the schools buy ads on ESPN.com, CBSSports.com. Every site that I'm on, I'm seeing Bo Nix for Heisman because Nike and Oregon have paid for that. I've never seen that before, which would tell me that we've been brainwashed, right? Okay, Bo Nix sounds like a good guy. I've seen him everywhere. There's a reason you've seen him everywhere. They've bought ads everywhere. Should you be able to buy the Heisman Trophy? No, you shouldn't. You should not be able to buy the Heisman Trophy. Now, Lonzo, I haven't looked at this ahead of time, but I'm going to share these with you right now. And if our live research proves me wrong, I'm happy to change my vote. Okay, Lonzo, do you have a pencil? Can I ask you to grab a handy dandy pencil if you would? All right.
Will a pen do?
That's great. Jaden Daniels, Lonzo. All right. 3,812 yards passing. All right. 3,812 yards passing. Completion percentage, 72% completions. Touchdowns, 40 touchdown passes. Okay. Interceptions, 4 interceptions. A quarterback rating, Lonzo, of 200. Is this a real number? 208. And Lonzo, let me tell you this. He's got 1,100 yards rushing. Okay. And he's got 10 rushing touchdowns. Now, before we get to Bo Nix, let me put the 208 rating into perspective for you here. Okay, I'm going to put that into perspective for you. Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence at Clemson had quarterback ratings between 155 and 160. That was the range for Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence. Jaden Daniels is at 208. Lonzo, when Florida played, and admittedly, my Gators are not very good this year, right? But when Florida played LSU and the final score was 52-35, LSU averaged 10.8 yards a play. A play. I've never even heard of that before. You're averaging a first down a play. Now, Lonzo, let's look at Bo Nix, the Heisman favorite, okay? And I haven't done this before. So let's look at this, Lonzo, okay? Bo Nix has 3,900 yards passing, okay? Bo Nix is completing 78% of his passes. Those two categories, based on my memory, are a slight edge Bo Nix. Bo Nix has 37 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Wow. Who knew? And Bo Nix has a quarterback rating of 189. All right. Bo Nix also has, Lonzo, 159 yards rushing. It's got to be Jaden Daniels, right? It's got to be Jaden Daniels. Lonzo, can you separate the cream from the chaff for me here? What are we looking at statistically? I mean, is it close? I mean, are they right to give it to Bo Nix, or is it clear that it's Jaden Daniels?
I just don't understand how one could have less interceptions. It must be because Bo Nix has 3 less touchdowns, but 2 less interceptions, and looks like 88 more yards passing. I don't know what it is. I don't get it.
Yeah, so to me, it's got to be Jaden Daniels, but I digest.
I'm trying to figure out why his quarterback rating is so much higher than Bo Nix when his stats are. I don't know. How did they even figure that out? I don't know.
Yeah. Bo knows Daniels is the true Heisman Trophy winner. So says Trey in Kentucky.
Maybe they'll just flip a coin. I mean, because it's close stat wise. Why not?
Dan B is going with his upset pick. He's going Alabama plus 5.5 over Georgia. I am going Appalachian State plus 6.5 over Troy. Justin M is taking part in our college football playoff challenge. I need the 4 teams that are going to be in the college football playoff challenge. You win, you get to your choice of hosting a segment of this show, a shout out of whatever you want, special recognition on the air, or you and I will set a date in the month of December, okay, to go grab a beverage together. You and me. I don't know if that's a punishment or a curse. It sounds like a curse to me. But you and me will make that happen. Let's see here. Justin M, Michigan, Georgia, Oregon, and Texas. Upset pick is Louisville over Florida State for 1.5 points. Texter says, if Bo Nix wins over Jaden Daniels, I'll never respect that award again. The eye test was over weeks ago. Dan B coming in with his college football playoff challenge picks. Michigan, Alabama, Oregon, and Florida State. Florida State coming in with the pick. What are your 4 teams to make the college football playoff this year? What are your 4? Participate in the challenge today. Thank me later. Up next on the show, we will keep you, favorite word in the English dictionary, abreast of all that is going on via the transfer portals, Clemson and South Carolina. And I really hate being right sometimes. That's next here on Offsides. We are the Fan Upstate. John G chiming in with his playoff challenge foursome. If you're just joining us on the show, we're giving you the opportunity to take part in our college football playoff challenge. You pick the 4 teams that make the college football playoff. You'll have your choice of hosting a segment of this show. You and I will get together for a beverage in the month of December. I'll give you a shout out on the show or special recognition to you and your family on the show. Your choice. All right. But we need your 4 teams who make it. I'm saying it's Georgia, Michigan, Oregon, and Florida State. Lonzo says Alabama, Michigan, Oregon, and Florida State. But what say you guys? John G, Georgia, Michigan, Washington, Florida State. Rodney Mintz says Michigan, Oregon, Georgia, and Ohio State. Now, if we have 2 people that tie with their picks, the person who got theirs in first in the show will serve as the tiebreaker. But we've had very, very few. We haven't, as far as I know, I'm not seeing same foursomes here. I'm saying everyone's got a different one. Texter says, Mark, compare Michael Penix Jr. stats for the Heisman Trophy, especially if Washington makes it to the playoffs undefeated. I got to be real with you, Alonzo. When we went through Bo Nix's stats, they were better than I thought. 37 touchdowns, 2 picks, 79.
That's pretty amazing, actually.
79% completions. 79% completions. It's incredible. Kevin says his playoff picks are Michigan, 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 Michigan. Diesel, my bonus son, and I love him for this.
I'm not Diesel.
Oh, Alonzo, sorry.
It's okay.
So, Diesel could only dream of having your flowing locks, sir.
Yeah, but I could only dream of having his amazing beard. So there you go. Together, we would be perfect.
There you go. So my bonus son, because my wife's family is from Michigan originally, he calls it Mission Again. So Mission Again. I want to go to Mission Again. Always.
Them winning the national championship has been a mission again that they haven't achieved in a really, really long time.
Yeah. Oh, look at that. Look at that. He's swinging. He's swinging today, folks. Let's keep you up to date on what's going on in the transfer portal. Guys, this is a situation where I didn't want to be right, but it's apparent that I was. I shared with you yesterday. I had a conversation with a couple of media friends yesterday who told me there is concern inside Gamecock football offices that the drip of the transfer portal could become a flood on that football team. Okay. And that the quote that I got was, Beamer's doing everything he can to, quote, keep the band together. All right. It's not happening so far. That said, Clemson has not been immune either. Clemson has lost backup quarterback Hunter Helms, Mitchell Mays, wide receiver Bo Collins, defensive back, corner Toriano Pride, backup tight end Say Jenis, Jeremiah Trotter, and Nate Wiggins have declared for the NFL draft. Juice Wells has told you he is just absolutely manipulating the hell out of South Carolina's name, image, and likeness system. Then he's going to peace out and collect more name, image, and likeness money. Does anyone ever get to see that guy actually play or no? Because it doesn't seem like that, right? Mitch Jeter is entering the transfer portal. South Carolina's kicker. Why is he doing that? Well, because someone's going to pay handsomely for a guy who makes 23 of 25 kicks. Gamecock wide receiver Landon Sampson entering the transfer portal. Gamecock defensive lineman Felix Hickson entering the transfer portal this year. Gamecock wide receiver Kylik Horton entering the transfer portal. Gamecock defensive lineman DeAndre Martin entering the transfer portal this year. And there are updates on this today. Marcellus Dial has declared for the NFL draft. Wide receiver Omega Blake is expected to enter the transfer portal from South Carolina this year. And the most recent addition to this transfer portal list for the Gamecocks is that wide receiver Xavier Short also expected to enter the transfer portal. Lonzo, this is a bummer. I mean, it's just,
you know, it's funny. Someone posted to X a picture of the Gamecock press conference for receivers, and it's just an empty podium. And it's pretty accurate. It is pretty accurate. But when Beamer got there, what did he do? He built the team as much as he could through the transfer portal. He's going to have to do it again. With as many people leaving, you can bring that many people in. Who knows? Maybe you find more quality guys that actually want to play to come in and be on your team.
But I'll
talking to you, Juice. Talking to you.
I'll tell you what I find what I would find a disaster, Lonzo, is if they brought in KJ Jefferson from Arkansas. Why? You can't be this program that continuously just throws quarterback transfer Band-Aids on the most important position. You can't do that. We remember Will Muschamp did that his last year. He went with Colin Hill over Ryan Helinski because he was trying to save his own job. If Beamer signs KJ Jefferson from Arkansas, what that'll tell me is that his job is in more jeopardy than we realize. And he's choosing what's best for him over what's best for the program.
What seems to be the number one position of players leaving places is quarterbacks, isn't it? At least that's the most publicized.
You know why? But you know why? Because as Matt Rule said, those guys are getting between $1 and $2 million per year. So, you know, the question is, you got Lenora Sellers back there, Lonzo. A lot of Gamecock fans are super excited about Lenora Sellers. If I told you today that you would go 7-5, the Gamecocks would go 7-5 next year with KJ Jefferson, or 5-7 with Lenora Sellers, I could make the case that Lenora Sellers is still the right move for the program because you're building something.
Only if you can guarantee that Sellers would be there the following year to improve upon that. And you can't anymore. You can't guarantee that anyone's going to stay there or anywhere.
And so the problem is you've got guys that don't understand the word commitment. You've got guys that are going for a buck, coming for a check, leaving for a check, right? And the transfer portal rules are so lax where there's no penalty for transferring twice. There's no penalty for transferring 3 times. If you are a graduate transfer, right? No penalty whatsoever as a graduate transfer. And we think we're doing right by these kids, but in reality, we're teaching them that there's no value for commitment anymore. None. Divorce rates have never been higher. Relationships, it's never been harder to find a committed relationship. You know why I'm so lucky? Like I found a woman, Angela, who has like 1950s and 60s values. She's got like it's like she's in a different era. She tells me she's in the wrong era. All right, like it's just these values of commitment and loyalty, they don't exist anymore. They just don't exist. And we're not teaching our young people commitment and loyalty with these stupid rules. Emerson M. chiming in, Georgia, Michigan, Texas, and Oregon. I think Texas is just about done. Let's see here. Texter says, Alabama loses to Georgia, but Nick Saban, Paul Feinbaum, and the SEC cry enough that Alabama gets in with 2 losses. That is his playoff prediction. My friends, please get us the 4 teams that will have made the playoff on Monday. By Monday, text them to us. Who are your playoff 4? We are going to talk some championship weekend football with our guy, Brent Beard, coming your way next, right here on the most interactive sports radio show anywhere. It's Offsides. Mark, Ryan, and Diesel with Lonzo sitting in, and we are the Fan Upstate. What's good, my friends? This is the most interactive sports talk show anywhere. It's Offsides. Mark Ryan and Diesel with Lonzo sitting in. And we are the Fan Upstate rolling on until 7 o'clock p.m. today. You guys have a ton of choices out there. We truly do appreciate you making us part of your afternoon each and every day. And we want you to take part in our college football playoff Pick'em Challenge today. We need from you the 4 teams that will be announced as being in the college football playoff on Monday. We need you to text those to us now on the carpro.com text line at 71307. Please start your text with the word fan, and away you go with your name and the 4 teams that will be in. If you are the one to get the 4 teams right, you will have your choice of hosting a segment of this show with your own custom intro, a personal shout out on the air, special recognition, or you and I in the month of December will get together for a beverage on me. How about that? In the month of December. What do you say? 71307 on the carpro.com text line is where you can get to us. And we're joined right now by a great buddy of mine who I'm proud to say is no longer an imaginary friend, because I met him in earnest the other day. I got a text Wednesday morning. Hey, Mark, if you and Angela are driving back up through Jacksonville, leaving Florida, Lakeland, Florida, if you're going through Jacksonville, let's meet up. Let's do it. Got a chance to do it. We met our great friend, Brent Beard, and we're all better off for having done so. Good to hear from you, my friend. It feels different now having met you. Finally, a face to the name, sir. I enjoyed it tremendously.
It was the highlight of the week, and frankly, the highlight of the month. In order to do that, we took a chance. It worked out beautifully. It was wonderful to finally meet in person after what, Mark, 20 years?
Something like 20 years. First time, never met. That's incredible.
Yes, there's probably a lot of people in sports radio who are the same, but it was wonderful to see you and Angela and to spend some time, and hopefully we'll be able to do it again soon. But it was truly a rare event, and I was just quite emotionally gratified that we could do that, and we have pictures, and we'll do something with those. Hopefully one day on the to let folks see that, but it was just truly wonderful.
It was incredible. My friend. It was great to meet you. And Brent, let me ask you this: you are a Heisman Trophy voter.
Yes.
All right. I do not. Have you already voted, Brent, or no?
No, I never vote, Mark, until the Sunday after the championship games, because you really don't know what might happen. For our listeners, the deadline is Monday at 5 that we have to have it in. We all get 3 selections. And here's the other part of this, that this used to not be the case, but it is now. We actually check a box that says that we will not announce our picks until after the ceremony the following Saturday night.
Okay.
So I don't necessarily agree with that, because when we used to be, and you probably remember this, when we used to be able to give our selections, you could talk about it the whole week, and it brought publicity and attention to the award itself. I've been very upfront about that. I think that's something that's lacking, that we cannot spend the following week talking about it.
Now, Brent, I'm just here to tell you that Jaden Daniels is here in studio, and he's batting his eyelashes at you, sir. He's batting his eyelashes at you, sir. We did a statistical comparison, and the stats that Bo Nix is putting up are incredible, but
yes,
they're virtually identical passing-wise to Jaden Daniels. Now, to put this into perspective, Bo Nix's quarterback rating's about 189, 190. Jaden Daniels is 208. Trevor Lawrence and Deshaun Watson, when they left Clemson, their QB ratings were between 155 and 160, okay, at Clemson. That shows you what these guys are doing this year.
Yeah.
37 touchdowns, 2 picks for Bo Nix, 40 and 4 for Jaden Daniels. But when you consider, Brent, the rushing yards for Jaden Daniels, 1,130 plus rushing yards, like if it really is the most outstanding player, I think you could argue, Brent, that LSU's record might be the reverse of what it is if Jaden Daniels wasn't on that team.
Yeah. Well, Mark, the thing that's really impressed me about Jane Daniels is, and I'm sure you've probably seen this, but basically every time that he makes a play, his average is like 10 yards. Do you ever remember, and maybe there was, but as long as you and I have been doing this, I really don't remember this, a player that every time he touched the ball, every time he averaged a first down.
Yeah, no, and thank you, Brent, for reminding me of the nightmare that was Florida's game against them, where they averaged 10.8 yards a play, okay?
Right.
Like there was literally nothing you could do. And when you play in the SEC, it takes some kind of athlete to look like a man amongst boys at that level. And Jaden Daniels, you know, is making Swiss cheese out of just about every single defense they play. So I guess what I'm saying to you, Brent, is I don't really understand a vote against Jaden Daniels. And if I could say this to you, buddy, it's like if we want to add credence and credibility back to this award, shouldn't we vote again for the most outstanding player and not just the best quarterback on the best team?
Agree totally. Now, what's happened as of late is that the quarterbacks have basically been the outstanding athletes. Mark, do you remember that run when we had for years? It was basically a running back award.
Of course.
The other thing, now look, I've voted for defensive players before because I thought there were some guys who were, even though they were on the other side of the ball, who were, in my opinion, the best player in America. So, no, I'm with you on that. We get pigeonholed into the quarterback award, but I don't care what position it is. If they're the best player, they're the best player, right?
100%. And that's where I would come in on that. So we get to this week's games, Brent, and you know, it's interesting to me. I am picking Oregon tonight, but I am surprised that people are treating this like it's a foregone conclusion that Oregon has already won the game.
Really?
It's you know, the line is double digits. Washington doesn't have the defense. I'm picking Oregon, Brent, but I really feel like all the bulletin board material is in the Huskies locker room. How do you see this one playing out?
Well, now I do understand, and I believe it's a 10-point spread, right, Mark?
It is,
which amazes me, frankly, since the first game was a field goal. Now, admittedly, Washington has struggled the last 6 weeks, but they continue to win, and they are number 2 in the nation in sacks allowed, which tells you a lot. Oregon, by the way, their offensive line is the best in the nation in not allowing sacks, and their defense is 22nd in third down stops. So, I mean, I'm with you on this. I'm kind of looking at Oregon too, with that game in Las Vegas. Now, I don't think it's 10 points. Mark, could this thing be another? Well, I mean, facetious here, but maybe not. Could this thing be 52-50 before it's over?
Oh, it very well could. Very well could. And Brent, my follow-up is, what are we learning about, like we thought we had the book on Bo Nix when he was at Auburn, right? Could make a play or two, but was very limited as a player. We thought we had the book on Michael Penix Jr. at Indiana and Graham Mertz at Wisconsin. And what it seems to me that we're learning is the situation that they're in seems to matter more than what we perceive to be their skill set.
Yeah. And look, Nix particularly, now, look, you remember this. When Nix was at Auburn, there were times, and even Auburn beat writers told me this, they were wondering if Nix was drawing plays in the dirt and just coming up with stuff at times. But he has matured, and I mean, I watched his last game, and Mark, for crying out loud, I mean, this guy made throws. He threw guys open. He's much more accurate than he was. He is now a complete player. But I think, doesn't that tell us we don't need to give up on these guys if they don't make it in one place when they can make it in another?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that's exactly what it says, Brent. So you're going Oregon, I'm going Oregon, but it seems we're both going Oregon close in this one. What is the very latest on Florida State's quarterback situation?
Well, the latest that I've heard and seen over the last little bit may very well be that it is a game time situation at this point with Rodemaker. Now, I'm telling you, that's concerning to say the least, especially after Jordan Travis obviously is out for the year after his gruesome injury. Brock Glenn, who got in for a few plays, but he's only attempted 4 passes this year. Now the thing with Tate is, and they're only a couple hours away from us here in Jacksonville, is that Mark, he hadn't played a whole lot. We get it because of Jordan Travis, but he knows the system. He's been in it 3-4 years, and he understands what they're trying to do. So it would really be important for him to be able to get in. But I think what really is concerning about this game too, Mark, do people really understand that even though they lost to Kentucky, that Louisville's really good? I mean, Jake Plummer, Jordan, the running backs, got over 1,000 yards, thrashed the wide receiver, 801. And listen, the number 12 rush defense in the nation and the number 19 total defense in the nation. Mark, is it just a matter of time before Jeff Brom and Louisville is really, and they are obviously this weekend, but could they be challenging for this title on a consistent basis a whole lot sooner than we thought they would?
It's incredible. What do you think is the biggest reason for that, Brent, on that particular team? We've heard that they've been spenders. They're spending in recruiting. They're spending in name, image, and likeness. I don't want to take any credit away from Jeff Brom. I'm just curious, what's the jump? Do you remember, Brent, over the summer that Louisville was that weird team that was favored in like 11 of their games? Yeah. And then it played out that way, and nobody saw that happening.
No, they really didn't. But so much of this is Brom and what he's able to do for them. And it goes beyond the favored son coming home in that he really, that's the thing that impresses me is, okay, his pedigree and they are going to be really good on offense. But what really surprised me is him putting this defense together as quickly as he did too. So that really makes them even more dangerous. But again, I mean, we've watched this Florida State team. It's not like they don't have Trey Benson and Johnny Wilson and Keon Coleman. I mean, Mark, you and I could throw to Johnny Wilson and Keon Coleman and we'd be okay, wouldn't we? And their defense is good. So I mean, look, Louisville could win. I understand that, with the quarterback situation, but it's not like Tate is the only guy they've got.
That is certainly the case. Georgia, Alabama. Are you surprised, Brent? I mean, how are we supposed to make any sense of this game with what we saw from Alabama a week ago, right?
Yeah.
Realizing that for all intents and purposes, they should already be cooked. And, now I guess I'm somewhat shocked at the number of people that are taking a team that shouldn't even still be alive in this picture, and they're picking them to make the college football playoff and to beat Georgia. Is Alabama beating Georgia outlandish to you?
No, absolutely not. And look, both the Georgia team we saw against Georgia Tech, and that was an 8-point difference, and Alabama-Auburn, both these teams will be not necessarily at full strength because of injuries, but they will be focused, and they will play, I think, their best of the year. These two teams are built to play each other. They've got the top 50 players in the nation as far as roster is concerned, coaches, facilities, the whole 9 yards. No, it wouldn't shock me at all if Alabama won the game. I believe that they have improved tremendously since that. Not even the Texas game. I would go as far as saying that South Florida game that was such a debacle in Tampa. Few teams have improved the way they have with Jalen Milroe, and also their defense and their offensive line. I mean, Georgia right now is, we know who they are, and Carson Beck from Jacksonville may also be the most improved quarterback along with Milroe in the nation. But no, these are games that Nick Saban galvanizes his team for, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if Alabama won.
Let's talk playoff scenarios here, Brent. Do you think Georgia is in win or lose? And is Alabama in a win and in situation?
I hear that. Greg Sankey certainly thinks so. But I think Bama really needs some help. I think they probably, I don't know if, it would certainly help them if Texas lost to Oklahoma State. I don't think that's going to happen, although I think Oklahoma State will play really well. And we talked about Florida State, the possibility of them losing. It would also help Alabama if Washington loses. Michigan's not going to lose. I think that's a given. So, to answer both your questions, in reverse order, I think even if Bama wins, they're probably going to need some help. And if Georgia loses, I would say, how in the world can you leave the number one team in the nation for most of the year out of the playoffs? But, Mark, we just got such a different animal this year, don't we, with all these undefeated teams. And again, the big X factor here, do we really know what this committee is going to do? And, I've been on one of these mock committees in the war room, seeing what they've got to use, and it's just millions of stats. But you've also got the eye test, you've got control. That term is as they use. The 4-team playoff has run its usage. We're expanding at a great time. I just wish it was this year. But again, Mark, I come back to say there are so many unknowns here with this committee. Do we really have an idea of what they're going to do?
My hunch is, Brent, that agree or disagree, I'm cool. But my hunch is that Texas is in a little bit of trouble because I agree with what you said. I think Alabama beating Georgia, I think when it happens, and that it happened over the number one team, I think the committee is going to prioritize that over Texas beating Alabama in September, right? Like they've been keeping Texas ahead of Alabama, but Alabama hasn't beaten Georgia yet, right?
True.
So does that change things? I think it does.
Sure.
Then you've got Texas at number 7, Georgia number 1. If Alabama beats Georgia by a field goal, you mean to tell me they're going to drop Georgia's 6 places?
Look, I don't, Mark. Well, they can't do that with a straight face, can they?
No. So to me, that makes it, that makes Texas's path seem to be more difficult. Now, Texas with a win, they get a Florida State loss. They might have an argument to be made there.
Yes.
But Brent, I'd love to ask you for the 4 teams that you think are going to be the names that are drawn.
Well, Michigan's obvious to me. I think probably Oregon. Listen, I've thought about this for about a week, and I come up with different ones every time. I think probably FSU will be upset, to be frank with you.
Wow.
I'm concerned about that. I mean, they're from here. We have a lot of their fans, but I just wonder if the quarterback that Mark, if they get behind, can they catch up with a third string quarterback? With Louisville and Plummer and that group there. So Oregon, Michigan, and I will say, Texas and the winner of Alabama, Georgia.
Alabama, Georgia. He's going Texas. Texas, I don't know, Brent. I don't know. I think the committee is the winner of Alabama, Georgia. I think if the loser is Georgia, Georgia might still be in.
Yeah.
But
yes, absolutely. Yeah, but does this committee want to put in? And I've heard this stuff all week long. Does the committee want to put in 2 teams from the same conference, and would that be the SEC, or would that possibly be, say, even Michigan and Ohio State? I'm not sure that's going to happen. And look, Mark, here's the other thing. I'm not saying television is going to tell them what to do, but you understand radio and TV as well as anybody I know. Don't think for a minute that TV hasn't whispered in their ear. And again, I'm not saying they're telling them what to do, but don't you think, Mark, in some way, TV has let the committee know a few things to think about? I think they may have, and I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying that's reality.
Brandon, I'll close with this, my friend. As a Florida grad, I don't like to see great things happen to Florida State, but I'll say this to you, buddy. If Florida State goes unbeaten and the TV argument wins that no one wants to see Georgia against a backup quarterback, that's criminal, in my opinion.
Yeah,
because
I agree with that.
You don't get to assume what Florida State is going to be like without their quarterback when they've earned the right in a Power 5 conference with an undefeated record to be there. They've earned the right. You don't get to assume who they are, what they are without Jordan Travis. So if they win, they better be in. And I'm going to raise all sorts of hell if they're not.
Yeah. And Mark, think about this. The committee has always given, and they should, some partiality to conference champions.
Yep.
So how if they point well taken, if Florida State wins and they're a conference champion, if you're that committee, how do you have that conversation with those officials later?
100%. Brent Beard, Heisman Trophy voter. The Brent Beard fan accounts are all tweeting away at his presence here today. Brent, enjoy conference championship game weekend, my friend. The wife and I, Angela and I, just had the best time meeting you. It was so great to put a face to the name. Let's not make it 20 years till the next one, okay?
We won't.
All right, buddy.
I promise. Absolutely, brother.
Have a great care. Take care. All right, Brent Beard, Heisman Trophy voter on Twitter at Brent, BRENT BEAIRD. Why there is hope for the middling programs in college football. Coming your way next here on Offsides, we are the Fan Upstate. All right, my friends, here to tell you about the great Upstate Holiday Light Show coming your way right now, all the way through the Christmas holiday. That is right, my friends. It is the Upstate Holiday Light Show with a new location at District Park at the intersection of 123 and 153. It's open Thanksgiving night through December 31st. Over 32 million colorful lights set the sky ablaze. Synchronized to the music of your favorite holiday classics, Upstate Lights at District Park at the intersection of 123 and 153. Take your time, park, and enjoy watching lights dance to music from your car. Kids can enjoy the petting zoo, pony corral, carnival rides, and more. It's open rain or shine 7 days a week. Gaze up at a 70-foot Christmas tree. There's a petting zoo with tons of animals this year as well. And even more family fun this season with carnival rides. Fun for the whole family. Load up the car and bring the kids. And best yet, buy. Can you believe we've got Oregon, Washington coming your way tonight? I want to remind you guys, take part in our college football playoff pick'em. That's right. We need from you right now the 4 teams that are going to make the college football playoff. We'll have the answer when Offsides kicks off on Monday at 3 p.m. sharp. And If you are the person that wins with the 4 correct teams, you get your choice. You and me go out for a beverage together in the month of December. All right. Choice number 2, you get to host a segment of this show. Choice number 3, you get a personalized shout out. Choice number 4, you get special recognition. All right. Special recognition. All we need are your 4 playoff picks. I'm going Georgia, Oregon, Michigan, and Florida State. Lonzo's going Alabama, Michigan, Oregon, and Florida State. Brent Beard is calling the upset of Louisville over Florida State. What say you guys about all of that? Also want to remind you, it is now time for you to get your upset picks in. You've got 2.5 hours left to do so for the week. We've got 3 upset picks left. Today, championship weekend, every game is on the table. And we also have 2 different upset picks over the bowl season. We split the bowl games in half once they're known. Can you believe on Monday we will know all of the bowl picks? Now, in your text message, we need your games, we need your 4 teams, and we need your name. Okay, we need your name. So if we have a number but no name, we do need your name to chime in. All right. Brandon Keeler letting us know JT Daniels has retired from all of football per ESPN. He suffered from too many concussions. Concussions notwithstanding, how does that dude know where he is when he wakes up in the morning? Because of how many different schools he's played for.
I was going to say, I didn't realize he was still in football. I mean, in college.
This year.
Yeah.
Name the JT Daniels teams, Lonzo, go. Played for Georgia.
No, I was going to say, I can't.
Played for Georgia. Played for West Virginia. Played for Rice. Did he play for Pitt too? Georgia, I know. West Virginia, Georgia, and Rice, I know are 100%. Where else did JT Daniels play football? Where else has he been? It's like JT Daniels in colleges are like those Hollywood actors or actresses that have dated everyone in Hollywood. It kind of gets to the point where it's like, who haven't they dated at this point, right? Who haven't they dated? All right, my friends, I am here to give you guys some hope. I'm here to give you guys some hope because I was listening to our friend Chris Phillips of the Spurs Up show the other day. And he was going into how, if you're a school like South Carolina and you're watching what's happening to your team and every single wide receiver on the team is entering the transfer portal. And as we predicted yesterday on the show through some conversations that we had, that the drip of players leaving at South Carolina could become a flood. There is concern about that inside Gamecock football offices. Shane Beamer doing whatever he can to keep the band together, right? I mean, that is what he was doing. That's what he was after. A lot of Gamecock fans are feeling like, what's the point? Because when we get a good player, South Carolina is just going to be a farm system for that player to go to Florida State. South Carolina is the farm system to Florida State or to other schools, to USC that can pay a lot of big money. So what is the point and what is the hope? Well, I'm here to tell you guys that hope is here and hope is coming your way in the form of a 12-team playoff. But even without the 12-team playoff, here are, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 programs that are not in big markets, okay, that when they have the wrong coach, they can have very mediocre results. 6, all right? And this, to me, offers hope for programs like South Carolina and other somewhat middling major conference teams, okay? It offers hope. So anyway, folks, would you agree that these 6 teams, all right, they don't have this massive track record of long-standing success? Washington, they don't have a long track record of outstanding success. They've made the playoff. They got smoked in the playoff, and then they've been mediocre. Missouri. What is Missouri's long-standing success? How about Ole Miss before Lane Kiffin got there? How about Louisville? What is Louisville's long-standing success? How about Arizona? All right, who have a redshirt freshman quarterback that I absolutely love in Noah Fatita. How about Iowa? Now, Iowa is a tough out with Kirk Ferentz, but they never win anything. And they never win anything because they don't have the talent to compete with the very best. They're one of those get the most out of the least kind of programs. So if you're a Gamecock fan and you're saying, well, like all we are is a minor league for teams to come pluck our players. You know, we are a feeder school. You know, we're a stepping stone program. Like, here's what I would say to you. Okay, Washington is number 3 right now in the college football playoff rankings. Okay, Washington's number 3. Missouri is number 9. Ole Miss is number 11. Louisville is number 14. Arizona is number 15. And Iowa is number 16. And if you're telling me at South Carolina that you can't expect to have the talent that Missouri does, you can't expect to have the talent that Arizona does, or Louisville or Iowa does, if that's what you're telling me, I'm telling you, you've got the wrong coach. But I'm going to take it a step further for you, okay? I've gone in and I've looked at the numbers, and I've got some interesting numbers to share with you, okay? Because I can prove that a school like South Carolina not only does have hope, but can expect to achieve really, really, really great things, all right? I've averaged the last 4 recruiting classes for these programs that have been meddling Power 5 programs, but suddenly are really good, right? Like, what are the last 4 recruiting classes? You know, Washington's last 4 recruiting classes, the average ranking is number 42. They're number 3 in the college football playoff rankings. Well, Mark Ryan, you say they had that 1 year with a new coach. You never get a good recruiting class that year. Okay, we'll throw out that year. In 2022, Washington's class was ranked 95th. We'll throw that year out. The other 3 years, their average ranking was 24th. Okay? South Carolina, if you throw out Beamer's first class, their last 3 classes are number 20. Number 20. Missouri's last 4 classes, the ranking is number 31. Ole Miss's last 4 classes, the ranking is number 25. Louisville's last 4 recruiting classes, the ranking is 41. Arizona's last 4 recruiting classes, the ranking is 49. And Iowa's last 4 recruiting classes, the ranking is 33. 33. Are you hearing numbers that South Carolina can't attain? Can South Carolina not get the 25th best class over 4 years, 31st best class over 4 years, 33rd best class over 4 years? Of course they can. So don't think, ladies and gentlemen, that just because there is a sieve right now, like as a matter of fact, Lonzo, you could post a picture of people entering a Black Friday store, okay, with a 75-inch TV on special for $299. And somebody could say, these are the wide receivers for Clemson, these are the wide receiver, South Carolina's wide receivers leaving via the portal. You could post that. That would be pretty funny because it's true. Why is it happening? Well, because Rattler's leaving. There's no offensive line help. There's going to be a young quarterback. And the receivers on South Carolina think there's not a future for me here. They don't like the passing game. They don't like the direction of the program. You know, of course they're going to think that, right? But I'm here to tell you, there is most definitely hope that is there for South Carolina. For if Missouri can be number 9, Ole Miss can be number 11, Louisville can be number 14, Arizona 15, Iowa 16, if their rankings can be what they are, and the playoff is expanding to 12 teams, why not you? Why not now? That's what I would say to you. 71307 on the text line. We've got Logan Simpson chiming in Washington over Oregon for his upset pick. Michigan J. Todd says his 4 teams, Michigan, Georgia, Oregon, and Texas. Roger Carper's going Georgia, Michigan, Texas, Oregon. Sorry, Alonzo, I'm leaving your Shamecocks out. Let's see here. Texter says JT played at USC, I believe. He did play at USC. Georgia, West Virginia, USC, Rice, and Pitt. So I had Georgia, West Virginia, Rice, and Pitt. He played at 5 schools, Lonzo. How pathetic is that? Like, even if you have the free transfer policy, how many free transfers did that guy get? You know, he doesn't leave college football really being appreciated anywhere. That's what I think people don't get about all these transfers.
I don't know. The quarterback's usually the big man on campus. He was a big man on 5 campuses, right?
Do you think there's such a thing as the big man on campus at Rice?
It might be easy to be that guy. I don't know
where Rice is, Lonzo. It is not in Butte, Montana, and the mascot is not the platypus.
I'm gonna go Texas. Somewhere.
It is where in Texas?
30 minutes outside of Dallas. I don't know.
It's in Houston, Texas.
Okay. All
and
right.
You know, Lonzo, I moved here from Houston. The entire time,
I'm aware of that. Yeah.
The entire 3 years that I was in Houston, not once did I step foot on Rice's campus, and nor could I tell you where the campus is in Houston. No idea. No clue. All right, my friends. As you can see, there is plenty of reason for hope, plenty of reason for optimism to join us here on the show. We'll talk some college football conference championship games when we come back here at Offsides. We are the Fan Upstate. It's Offsides. Mark Ryan and Diesel Alonso sitting in, and we are the Fan Upstate rolling on until 7 o'clock p.m. today. It is fantastic to have you guys with us. All right, let us get your picks in. Let us get your picks in. Conference championship games coming up this weekend. In terms of best to worst, right? Like most compelling college championship games, I think you're going to be hard pressed to beat tonight. Honestly, man, I don't see Michigan. I don't see Alabama, Georgia being as competitive as Lonzo sees it. I don't see it being as competitive as many of you see it, right? With an everything on the line game. What is your excuse or explanation for what Alabama did last week? It's just a rivalry game? Like, you got to do better than that. Auburn's not good. Auburn lost to New Mexico State the week before. Alonzo, I'm really intrigued by Michigan, Iowa. I just want to see, like, if Iowa can get Michigan to play its game of, like, can they stop Michigan's run? Can they make J.J. McCarthy have to beat him through the air? Can they get Michigan into a slog? Can they do that?
I would love that, let's say Michigan put everything they had into the Ohio State game, and I would love if they take into account all the media reports, all the fans saying, that they've already won the Big Ten and that this is just a bump. They have to show up and they don't really have to do anything. They're going to win this game. I would love for them to have that mentality. I just don't think they will.
I don't think they will either. But Iowa's got a great defense, top 10 defense nationwide, right?
Michigan's been upset by someone before. Last year in the playoffs, TCU. No one thought TCU would be able to do what they did, and they whipped Michigan's butt. So it could happen. I don't think it can happen with Iowa.
The last 21 games between Michigan and Ohio State, the team that has rushed for more yards has won. And Michigan had 159 rushing yards and Ohio State had 106. And, like we've said, is Ohio State going to rise up to the level that they're not getting big boyed and bullied all over the field by Michigan again? Mission again, as Jackson would say. And they've gotten better. They've gotten better in that area. They've gotten more physical. It no longer looks like brute force against finesse when those two teams go at it. But as you could see, they fell just a wee bit short.
Ohio State's defense has improved a great deal over the last couple of years. The problem is the quarterback position. I mean, when you are not decided going into the season who's going to be the quarterback, McCord got better as the year went on, and they were undefeated coming into this game. He's just not, and a lot of teams are finding out when they have a certain level of quarterback and the next guy comes in and he's not on that level, at least not yet, it shows.
I'll tell you what, guys, Alabama against Georgia. Where does Alabama have an edge? Well, in the red zone, in terms of the percentage of the time that they score touchdowns in the red zone, Alabama's 19th in the nation. Georgia's defense is just 66th. So that's strength for Alabama against a weakness for Georgia. How about third down defense in this game? Georgia's third down defense is second in America. Alabama's is 26th. On offense, Alabama's third down offense is 11th in America. So some different numbers to discuss here. Jalen Milroe is a guy that you can't replicate in practice, right? Like we heard Kirby Smart say, he's like a rich man's Tim Tebow, he said. Well, that's an insult to Tim Tebow. Milroe isn't close to Tim Tebow or what Tim Tebow did at the University of Florida. At the same time, he's dangerous. Now, did Alabama overlook Auburn last week? I don't think so. I really don't. I just think that Alabama's offense is not super explosive. I think Alabama's defense is a B. I think their offense is a B. And I ask you, can a team with two Bs, a B on offense and a B on defense, can that team beat Georgia? I don't think the answer to that is yes. Do you? Again, the 8 p.m. games, Michigan, Iowa, Louisville, Florida State, are really compelling for different reasons. Florida State, can they somehow grit out a win with a very uncertain quarterback situation against a game Louisville team? Are they able to grit out a win? Can Iowa get Michigan to get down in the gutter with them and duke it out in a slugfest? Just a really ugly, a game that feels like it's being played in the mud. If you look up at halftime and the score is like 9-6, or if you look up at halftime and Michigan's in the single digits in scoring, you know that Iowa's getting Michigan to play its game. I don't know, guys. I think the most compelling conference championship game this week may very well just be tonight. Oregon and Washington. I think that could be the most compelling conference championship game this weekend. 71307 is where you can get to us on the carpro.com text line. Just Jess is taking SMU plus 3.5 over Tulane. I want to say that was Diesel's pick as well. Texter says, based on your upset pick success, I just fade you, Mark, on all facets of life. All facets of life. This guy is clearly not a fan of me or what I do. But that's okay, sir. That's okay.
He's still listening, though. So, there's that.
He fades me on all aspects of life.
So what, you just listen to the commercials? Yeah.
He's fading the volume now as we speak, Lonzo. Ooey, Lonzo in the hizzy, time to bash the Ohio sucks. So says a texter on the text line.
Bash them all you want. They didn't beat Michigan 3 years in a row. They've lost to Michigan. Bash away. You're not hurting me.
That doesn't mean Ryan Day should lose his
They
job,
hurt me.
Right?
Yeah.
Doesn't mean
you can't beat Michigan. You got to go.
Okay, but are you firing him now?
Why not?
Jim Harbaugh lost 5 years in a row. How's he doing?
Yeah, but that's Michigan. They have different standards. Yeah. So,
So you would fire Ryan Day right now?
That is the mentality of most Ohio State fans. It was last year when they lost 2 in a row. Absolutely.
But you can't say he can't just when he hasn't. How many years are you giving him to do it? Or has that expired now?
It expired a year ago.
Well, he's 56-7.
I know. Here's the thing. And I mentioned this the other day. Urban Meyer, if you watched him, if you watched him on the Big Noon Saturday, he wants the job back. And other people want him to have the job back. You know what Urban Meyer could do? Aside from dance with blondes in bars, he can win against Michigan. He can also win a national championship. Urban Meyer will be your next coach. Ryan Day is gone. It would not shock me, and I don't know that I'd be upset about it. Maurice Claret, whether you give him any credibility or not, he was tweeting all day about that. He was also trying to get a certain Manning to come to Ohio State. Yes.
I see.
Yeah.
I see. Brandon wants to know, hey, Mark, I didn't realize my pick didn't meet the spread requirement for this week only because we have such few games. We're letting all picks stand, Brandon. All picks stand this particular week. All right. Up next, we've got the top 5 at 5. Then we've got a fun interview coming up for you at 5:20. You're going to want to hear this. It's super fun, super exciting. Plus, we got to get your college football playoff picks and so much more. All here on Offsides. We are the Fan Upstate. Every so often have that Boise State over Oklahoma moment that we're all going to love. The con is the regular season in college football is already a play. And the fact that there are no safety for games like Michigan against Ohio State make college football what it is. The regular season is the playoff. I worry that by provision, and you'll every so often have that Boise State over Oklahoma moment that we're all going to love. The con is the regular season in college football is already a playoff. It makes premium cocktails choose from over 50 different cocktails. A positive or a negative. Look, man, I don't mean to be Switzerland on you, but there are very clear pros and cons to it. On the pro side, the postseason is going to be better than it's ever been. And you'll every so often have that Boise State over Oklahoma moment that we're all going to love. The con is the regular season in college football is already a playoff. And the fact that there are no safety for games like Michigan against Ohio State make college football what it is. The regular season is the playoff. I worry that by expanding it to 12, we're inching towards March Madness in sport college basketball, where we just don't pay attention to the regular season anymore. I'm Mark Ryan.
Are you ready to experience MVP treatment in banking? Look no further than Founders Federal Credit Union, where personalized service is the winning play. Don't settle for being just another number. Join Founders and receive the personalized attention you deserve, along with great rates, loans for any reason, and a dynamic online experience. Visit one of their 41 convenient office locations or visit foundersfcu.com and see if you qualify for membership. Relax. Go Rebels.
Upstate Holiday Lights is open now through December 31st at the new District Park at the intersection of 123 and 153. Enjoy more and bigger lights, petting zoo and carnival rides, driving through a Christmas wonderland. Tickets and info at upstatelights.com.
Lowe's knows how to save pros time and money. Right now, get up to 40% off vanities. Visit us in store or online for more deals. Lowe's knows savings. Lowe's knows pros. Now at 11:30 through 12/6, while supplies last. Selection varies by location.
The Chase e-Business Premier Card is made for people who make things happen, like me. I'm Sam, founder and CEO of Manifest, a product design company that makes everyday products designed smarter. I get 2.5% cash back on purchases of $5,000 or more, plus
How
2%
how is there no
purchases,
what?
which helps us make more smart ideas into a
That
brilliant
doesn't
reality.
make sense.
Premier Card. Learn more at chase.com/business premier. Chase for business. It's more of what yours. Real businesses are compensated for their participation. Account subject to credit approval. Restrictions and limitations apply. Cards are issued by JPMorgan Chase Bank and member FDIC. Wendy's Peppermint Frosty and Frosty Cream Cold Brew make the perfect gift for anyone in your life, especially for you. Yeah, this year you're sitting on your own lap and getting yourself what you want. Finally. And now every day this season, unlock 20% off your total when you get any small, medium, or large Frosty in the Wendy's app. So order something from your own wish list this year. Limited time only. Participating U.S. Wendy's without offer and registration. Only taxes and fees excluded.
When it comes to the best sports talk, it's all on, man. Listen to the Fan Upstate on Odyssey, no matter where you are, in the car, at home, at work. Download the free Odyssey app on your phone. Search the Fan Upstate and you're in the game. Hey, now we roll. The Fan Upstate. No upstate child should have Christmas without presents under the tree. Donate a toy during the LEO Santa Toy Drive. Stop by the well in downtown Greenville. All day this Thursday through 10 a.m. Friday. Our friends from Greenville County Law Enforcement will be on hand accepting toys and donations. Plus, see special demonstrations from tactics teams and K-9 patrol units. Help an underprivileged child this Christmas. For more,
Wow, I forgot to put the thing on, so they've just been seeing us do things for like 5. My bad. I mean, you know. I've been here almost 12 hours. Cut me a break, people.
What's good, my friends? This is the most interactive sports talk show anywhere. It's Offsides. Mark Ryan and Diesel with Lonzo sitting in, and we are the Fan Upstate, rolling on until 7 o'clock p.m. today. You guys have a ton of choices out there. We truly do appreciate you making us part of your day each and every day. Want to remind you about something fun we are doing on the show right now. We are asking you to take part in our college football playoff challenge. Here's what you need to do. We need from you right now the 4 teams that are going to make the college football playoff. We need you to text those into us with your name. How do you do it? You open up your handy-dandy phone. You go to the text screen. You type in the number 71307. You hit enter. The first word of your text, make it FAN, F-A-N. Then give us the 4 teams that are going to make the college football playoff. All right, and put your name on it as well. If you are the first person to correctly pick the 4 college football playoff teams, you will win one of the following, your choice. You and I will go out for a beverage in the month of December. Your choice. You will get to host a segment of this show if you so choose. You'll get a personalized shout out or special recognition on this show should you win. That all we need are your playoff picks. What 4 teams are going to be in? I say Georgia, Michigan, Oregon, Florida State. Lonzo says Alabama, Michigan, Oregon, Florida State. But what say you, my friends? All right, here's how you guys can take part in the show. You can give us a ring at 844-FAN-PHONE. That's 844-326-3663. And the carpro.com text line is there for you at 71307. Just start your text with the word FAN, and away you go on the show. It's time for us to do that jam. We call it the Top 5 at 5, the top 5 biggest sports stories of the day, the top 5 topics we're discussing. Ladies and gentlemen of the upstate, Offsiders, the Top 5 at 5 starts right now. Hit it at number 5 today, my friends. How about team-by-team college football playoff scenarios? Who's in? Who's out? It's weird having 3 years in a row where Clemson is not a part of this discussion. It's just odd. Look, this season, no matter what happens, guys, you know it, I know it, we all know it. Let's take the kid gloves off. This season's a failure for South Carolina. This season's a failure for Clemson. Okay? Well, Mark, if South Carolina had got 8-4, it would have been a success. Yeah. Well, in some households, a B on a report card is met with a celebration. In others, it's met with a spanking, right? Expectations dictate what the line between success and failure, right? So this season is a failure for Clemson. This season is a failure for South Carolina. The goal for South Carolina was 9-3. Success was 8-4. Disappointment was 7-5. Failure was 6-6 or below. They qualified for failure. The goal for Clemson this year, make the CFP, right? Didn't do it. Very clear, black and white. It's a failure. But I think Georgia is in with a win. I think Georgia's also in with a loss if Florida State loses. Michigan is in with a win, out with a loss. But they're not going to lose. They're a 22-point favorite. How about the fact that Iowa's first half over-under in terms of points scored against Michigan, 0.5 points. Washington tonight, 8 p.m., in with a win, out with a loss. Florida State tomorrow, in with a win, out with a loss. Oregon, in with a win, out with a loss. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Ohio State, could they be in? Lonzo doesn't want to hear it. I think the answer is yes. Ohio State could be in if Georgia wins, Florida State loses, and Texas loses. Texas, I think, is going to have a hard time any way you slice it, believe it or not. They need Florida State to lose. I don't think that's going to happen. Then you have the whole Georgia versus Alabama debate. And remember, Texas won at Alabama. I think Alabama wins that debate if they have a win over the number 1 team. I think that's going to supersede Texas beating Alabama in September. Then what if Alabama beats Georgia? Alabama's in. Does that mean Texas is in too? What about Georgia? Can you see Georgia at number 1 falling below Texas at number 7, especially if that game is a tight game? Alabama and Georgia, it's going to be a tight game, right? So I think Texas is up against it, trying to get into this college football playoff, and I think Alabama is in with a win and out with a loss. What say you guys about all of that? Next up. All right. My friends, as we look at this today, Dallas against Seattle last night. Lonzo, is this year different for Dallas? I mean,
no, it's not.
So you want to say that, like, because they're Dallas, it's the same thing every year?
Yes.
Because they have not made a conference championship game this millennium. They haven't even made a conference champ. They haven't won 2 playoff games in the same year this millennium. That they are the same old Dallas Cowboys.
Absolutely.
Well, let me tell you one thing. They're dominating some folks, and last night was a close win, but they're now 8-3. Dallas is one of only 2 teams in the NFL that's in the top 5 in total offense and in the top 5 in total defense. San Francisco is the other one. All right. There was a spot in my top 5 that came open when Joe Burrow went down. And Dallas is inching their way through that door. You've got Philly. You've got San Francisco. You've got Kansas City. You've got Baltimore. And in my opinion, now you have Dallas. Now, here's the problem for Dallas, okay? It's the same problem that befell. Is that a word? Befell?
I do believe it's a word, yes.
Befell Buffalo a year ago. They had to take on Cincinnati in the second round of the playoffs, okay? That's because there were 3 great teams in the AFC. If Dallas is a great team in the NFC, they're going to have to take on either San Fran or Philly in that divisional round game. And if the records stand, that game will be on the road for Dallas because they're a wild card. San Fran and Philadelphia are going to win that division. And I can't pick Dallas to win any of those games until they actually win one of those games, right? All I see them do is crap the bed in the biggest moments. And yeah, they beat the Seattles and the Giants and the Commanders. I see them beat these teams, right? But I don't see them beat the best teams when it really matters most. I don't see them do it, right? So, what do you guys say? You know, Dallas is the best team in the world against bad teams, but they suck against good ones. Is this the year that they take the very next step? Next up, at number 3 on the show today, folks, how about some inside the numbers in some of these championship games? You know, where is the edge? Oregon, Washington. The reality is Oregon has the edge everywhere. They have the edge in ball security. They have the edge in pass rush. They have the edge in running game. They have the edge in defense. Third down defense. Oregon is 3rd in the nation. Washington is 89th. Total defense. Oregon is 16th in the nation. Washington is 96th. Yet Washington beat Oregon 33-30 the first time they played. How is Oregon a double-digit or virtually so favorite in this game? I think the revenge factor counts. I think neutral field counts. I think Oregon was a bit unlucky the first time these 2 teams played. I like Oregon big tonight. I do. And I think it's going to surprise a lot of you. So many of you are picking Washington in our playoff pick'em challenge today. It is boggling my mind. How about Alabama and Georgia? Alabama's 19th in the nation in touchdown percentage once they're in the red zone. Georgia's defense is just 66th. All right. But on third down defense, which is critical in this game, Alabama's second, Georgia's second in the nation. Alabama's 26th. Edge for Georgia there. I come back to this point. If Carson Beck plays his A game, I think Georgia wins. Okay? If he plays his A game. I don't think you can just throw away what Alabama did or what they didn't do to Auburn last week. Like, if Auburn should have won that game. Let me ask you this. If Alabama fails to convert the 4th and 31, are all of you still picking Alabama? Would you pick Alabama? Lonzo, you picked Alabama. If they hadn't converted 4th and 31, would you still be picking them?
Yeah, it's not about Alabama for me. It's my doubt in Georgia.
Doubt in Georgia. How about that? Very, very interesting stuff. Florida State, Louisville, still waiting to see Tate Rodemaker in the concussion protocol. Going to be a game-time decision. Florida State would be playing a freshman quarterback if he can't go. And Michigan, Iowa, I don't know. I have a morbid curiosity in this one, man. Can Iowa get Michigan to play in the mud with them? Can they do just that? I cannot wait to see. Next up. So a lot of folks have wondered, is there any hope for a team like South Carolina with what's going on in the transfer portal? Mass exodus of players, which is what we were concerned about, right? Is there any hope? And I say, yes, there's a lot of hope, as a matter of fact. I can find you 6 meddling programs that this year had a great year, and imagine what is possible when the playoff expands to 12 teams. Washington, number 3 in the playoff rankings right now. They're a middle-of-the-pack team many years. Missouri, number 9 in the CFP rankings. How about Ole Miss, number 11? Louisville, number 14. Arizona, 15. Iowa, 16. Well, Mark Ryan, I'm a Gamecock fan, and we're not as good as any of those teams. Not now. But if you look at the overall talent on those teams, why couldn't you be? Last 4 recruiting classes at Washington. You want to know what the average class ranking was? 42nd. How about the last 4 classes at Missouri? What was the average ranking? 31st. Last 4 classes at Ole Miss, 25. Last 4 classes at Louisville, 41. Last 4 classes at Arizona, 49. Last 4 classes at Iowa, 33. How about the last 4 classes at South Carolina? 35. Compare South Carolina's last 4 classes to the rankings of these other teams: Washington, Missouri, Ole Miss, Louisville, Arizona, Iowa. The rankings are 42, 31, 25, 41, 49, 33. Talent-wise, you're right there. Coaching-wise, you're not. Doesn't help that you play in the most difficult conference in all of college football. But is there hope? You darn well better believe there's hope. Cut the crap with there being no hope. You got to shut the door on this feeder system BS. South Carolina should not be a minor league team to anybody. Whereas Florida State, USC, etc., Oregon, call up your players to the big leagues when they're willing to play them. Just can't do that. Just can't do that, my friends. And finally, the South Carolina Gamecocks have now lost 6 wide receivers to the transfer portal. 6. Can you believe it? 3 defensive linemen. Their kicker, and Juice Wells. Diesel joked that Juice had changed his nickname to Fleece for what he did to people in South Carolina, taking all the NIL money.
Do they have any more quarterbacks that they can turn into receivers? I'm not sure. It's possible.
That worked out so well in the past.
It did.
Yeah, it really did. But Clemson is also getting hit hard. You know, even the special Willy Wonka's chocolate factory type of vibe that exists, the Truman Show kind of vibe that exists at Clemson, isn't immune to the transfer portal. Hunter Helms is gone. Michael May is gone. Bo Collins, cornerback Toriano Pride, tight end Sage Ennis, all gone via the transfer portal. How about Jeremiah Trotter, Nate Wiggins declaring for the NFL draft? Even a place that Dabo Swinney tries to protect from the negative influences of the outside world. Not immune. Not immune. I think this is totally broken. I really think they need to crack down on the number of transfers. You shouldn't get free transfers without penalty. You should have to sit a year. And by the way, while I'm here, can I just say I do think eventually we're going to have NIL caps, salary caps. We're going to. And let's say that you're able to make $1 million a year. I think every time you transfer, that number should go down by 25%. So you transfer, now you can make $750 a year. Oh, you're going to transfer again. Now you can make $500 a year. There needs to be a penalty for doing this. Because, like, when we don't know who's on our teams anymore, college football starts to feel a hell of a lot like college basketball. And college basketball is a sport that the country ignores until March Madness. It's become a 1 month sport in this country nationally. And those are today's top 5 at 5. Now it's your chance to chime in, which you can do at 844-FAN-PHONE. That's 844-FANFONE. That's 844-326-3663. TheCarPro.com text line is there for you at 71307. Just start your text with the word fan and away you go. You can get to us on Facebook, on Twitter, and on YouTube. At the Fan Upstate on every one. Please like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and subscribe to us on YouTube. We'd love to have you. And finally, email. You guys can all email the show. Mark Ryan, that is MARC Ryan at thefanupstate.com. All the different ways you can get in touch with us here on the most interactive sports radio show anywhere. Coming up next on the show, we'll go behind the scenes of the Late Kick Show with Josh Pate to find out how they make that magic happen. You have any questions on how they do the Late Kick Show with Josh Pate? You guys watch it. We watch it. It's one of the best shows in America. Their producer Jesse, joins us next to give us the 411 here on Offsides. We are the Fan Upstate. All right, Alonzo, I got a phone number for you, sir.
Hold on. Okay, do this and do that.
Fan Upstate rolling on until 7 p.m. Eastern time today. Well, I'll bring you guys into a little story. Okay, now here's a little story I got to tell because he's a bad brother, and I got to meet producer Jesse. Now, you guys know, right, that we have Josh Pate on this show quite often, just about every single week. And you know, if you guys are tuned in to the college football scene the way that we are, that that show might possibly be the best college football show in the country. And Josh has been a friend of mine for like 3 or 4 years now. And so when my wife and I were heading up to go do her father's funeral in Michigan, we stopped for a couple days in Nashville. Let Josh know we were there. He said, why don't you come by and see a live taping of the show? So I'm in the producer shield in 24/7 Sports headquarters, downtown Nashville. And I'm in there with producer Jesse the entire time. You guys know, you hear Josh Pate say it all the time, producer Jesse on the Late Kick Show with Josh Pate. And nicest guy you could have, hardest working guy you could see. And it was amazing to see them work the magic that is the Late Kick Show with Josh Pate. Producer Jesse joins us right now on the show to give us the backstory. And Jesse is out and about in Nashville. But, brother, I appreciate you making the time, man. Thanks so much. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you guys for having me on. I'm excited to be able to talk a couple of words with you guys.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So, Jesse, can you bring us in to the making of the magic that is the Late Kick Show? Like, what is your schedule? How does that work? You know, like it, and then it's just like you guys have shows Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. So is that the best job in the world? I mean, do you have 4 days off every week? That can't be the case, right? How does that work? What is your life like?
Yeah, no, unfortunately, I have a pretty busy schedule, even with keeping with the show 3 days a week, but doing a lot of research. Like I can't tell you how much college football I have watched, how many stats I've had to go through just to make sure that, hey, when we get to showtime, I am prepared to give Josh everything that he needs to go out there and deliver a show. I mean, you talk about the magic, and I mean, part of the magic is just Josh himself. You know this as well as I do.
Sure.
For him to have the gift of the gab that he has, to go out there for an hour and a half by himself live and deliver that type of high quality content, he's a big part of the magic. And I'm just there to be able to provide him, hey, here's these interesting stats, here's these angles that we could take here, and just give him an additional person to bounce things off of, talk through segments and stuff. And ever since I moved down to Nashville and we really started getting the show done together, just seeing him even grow even more, but also help me out tremendously, just learning, getting to pick his mind and see how he wants to attack things. It's so interesting because I've been around a lot of on-air talents, and he is by far probably the most cerebral one I've ever met. So just being able to work with him, the schedule keeps me busy. I wish I could spend my entire time just working on Josh's show, but there's a lot of other things happening behind the scenes at 24/7. So he gets a large part of my time, but then there's also other things that need to get done. A lot of that stuff falls on my lap.
Now, it's interesting, producer Jesse, and are you okay with us calling you that? That's how we know you.
Yes.
Okay, producer
That's how
Jesse.
everyone knows me.
There you go. All right. So you mentioned the word cerebral. I think that's a great word. My question to you is, my old man said, Mark, this was December of 2019. So 4 years ago, he said, Mark, there's a guy I've been watching. You got to check him out. His name is Josh Pate. Hadn't heard of him yet. And Josh had not come to 24/7 yet. Josh came to 24/7, I believe, in 2020. So I'm watching this guy because my dad told me I needed to watch him. And I'm just blown away. Like within 5 minutes, it's just like you've either got it or you don't. In 4 years of knowing Josh Pate, I've never seen him mad. Have you ever seen Josh Pate angry or mad, producer Jesse?
Of course I have.
Really?
He's pretty. So it's one of those things that when you never want to do a show with anger. You often just don't hit the right angles that you want to. You often don't deliver the content that you want to. So he does his best, and we sort of have a saying is that once we get about an hour before showtime, if there's anything that isn't going right, that's where I take care of it, because he wants to go into a show as even headed, as calm as he possibly can. So for that hour leading up to the show, if there are any issues, I'm the one dealing with that. I'm the one frantically running around, and I'm just making sure that I'm doing my job as a producer and putting him in the position that he wants to be to go out there and deliver. So, but of course I've seen him mad. I mean, we spend, how many hours a week together. There's small things. It's like, hey, the Uber Eats didn't get delivered to the right place. Now our food schedule's backed up. So now he's going to have to try to eat at 6:40 instead of 6 o'clock. And now he's trying to scarf down food before he goes out and then worrying about that other stuff. And so it's usually small things. I mean, he's very well tempered.
Yeah.
But I've seen him mad for sure. And it's just, for me, it's just, hey, just get him back on the rails. It's not a big deal. I'm usually a peacemaker when it comes to that sort of stuff, if I need to be, but it's rare. But I mean, hey, we're all human, aren't we?
I ask you that because I've never seen him mad. I'm surprised that you've seen him mad. I tried to see him mad. I tried to beat him in ping pong, producer Jesse, but he got me. I think the score was 21-13. I'm not bad. He's actually really good. So I tried to get him. I failed miserably though.
I mean, if you want to see him mad, is beating him in ping pong. He is. I love Josh, but he is one of the most sore losers I have ever met. And hey, it's because he's competitive. I'm competitive too. So when we first got those ping pong tables, we'd be playing every day. And he played growing up. I really didn't, but I ended up getting pretty good. And I remember there was a day in the office where I think I beat him 3 times in a row, which almost never happens.
Wow.
But he literally just threw his paddle, walked away, and it was before show prep. And that first hour of show prep that we were doing was the most awkward walking on needles sort of situation, because you could just still tell that he was fuming that he could not only lose once, but twice, but 3 times. And we probably played 200 games. And he's probably beaten me 180 times. But just on that one day, I had him, and he was just, it was weird to try to do show prep. I was like, do you want me in here for show prep, or do you want to just do this yourself? Because it was like talking to a brick wall. You could just tell that he was just fuming underneath it. But we got through it, and I don't know if I might have went and gotten some Mio or something like that, and or coffee, and it's just like, hey,
and so if you guys watch the Late Kick Show, Josh takes drinks out of the chalice of supremacy, and people always wonder, is there wine in that chalice? And the answer is no. That Josh doesn't drink alcohol at all. So what looks like wine is actually, producer Jesse, water with Mio, depending on the necessary color for the day. And he puts that into the chalice of supremacy, which is another layer of the show. The way you guys brand and market so many different elements of the show, from the chalice of supremacy to Pate State University to casuals, discussing casuals, all of the little different branding benchmarks that you guys bring into the Late Kick Show just really make it special. And you make everybody who watches feel like they're part of the Cool Kids Club, which is just great. Now, producer Jesse, can you share with our audience, because this is a time of year where, the holidays are hard for a lot of people. And Josh has a really inspirational story about how he got to where he got. And I'd love it if you could share a little bit about your story and a little bit about Josh's story, because not only are these really inspirational stories, but if folks have goals out there, especially going through hard times around the holidays, I find listening to your stories to be incredibly inspirational.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, I've always loved football. I mean, I played football throughout high school, won state championship, got to play in some Pennsylvania All-Star games, and ended up playing Division III college football for a year. And then I blew my right knee out really badly, tore every ligament, stress fractures, a lot of stuff. And
Lonzo, who's producing today, producer Jesse, sorry to interrupt. He played college football. The exact same thing happened.
Yeah. From Ohio, played Division III football, blew my left knee out. So it's wild, the parallels.
Yeah. And even though, an injury like that can shake things, but for me, it was in a way one of the 2 best things that ever happened to me, because it got me onto the path to get me up to Penn State University, which, as Josh will let you know if you watch the show, producer Jesse is always going to be rooting for Penn State. But going up there and making the connections that I did was paramount to what I was doing. And one of those connections ended up working for CBS Sports. And when I got done with college, I finished up there and got to work in our Fort Lauderdale office and our Stanford office. And the way I met Josh timing is so important in life. And you never know what little things are going to come to you when you're least expecting it. And I was working nights, I was working weekends, I was working holidays, very long hours trying to get CBS Sports HQ started, which was a streaming platform that's essentially like a 24/7 sports center. But it was a lot of work. We were short-staffed, trying to figure out how to start a digital network. So I was at a really stressed out point in my life where I didn't even know if I still wanted to work in sports. I was so just disenfranchised with how hard it was. And my boss called me in one day and he said, "Hey, I have this opportunity." He called me and another producer in, and essentially said, "Hey, we have this show with Josh Pate that we want to start running through our control room. It's a college football show and everything, but I want you two guys to sort of tag team this and make sure that, the show's getting the full attention that it should." Because at that time when Josh was doing the show out of Brentwood, the production value wasn't very good. They weren't in a full TV studio, so they didn't have all the ability to put on the graphics that you see and stuff like that. So once I had that opportunity, within a week or two, I basically boxed out the other guy, because as soon as I watched Josh do a show, I was like, this guy is special. And you noticed special quickly. You said that earlier, Mark.
Yep.
And I could just tell he was special. And so it started with just like, hey, Josh is going to give you a Google Doc and he's going to put the topics in that he's going to talk about. And at that point, my job was just, hey, let me find the best B-roll I can. The video, sorry, that's a bit of a production lingo term. Build the best graphics I can. And then slowly but surely, I just started getting on the phone with him more. I was like, hey, I really like this. What if you do this? And I think he began to appreciate the fact that I was going above and beyond for his show. And so this led to another point in which we were doing Thursday night coverage. So we couldn't keep doing his show through our control room on Thursday nights and Sunday nights, because that was up against NFL, and our NFL content had to be run out of that studio. So the show went down to a different place. And then he just began to send things like, I miss you and stuff, because I could tell that he wasn't getting the same sort of hard work and dedication to his show from the other producers. And at that point, I just said, hey, if you're looking for a full-time producer, I will come down there and work on the show with you. And he goes, oh, really? And so he worked with his management. As much as he wants to throw management under the bus, he got me right in front of management. And then all of a sudden, I'm moving down to Nashville, and even our working relationship just sort of took an even bigger turn from there, because I was still very much just focused on elements and, hey, here's some things here and there. But we got to the point to where I was building these elements for his show, and he would just go on such different angles than I thought he would. And I'm like, I could have had so much better stuff built had I known you were going there. So we got to the point where I just asked him, I was like, hey, I know he pretty much always did a show by himself, even from when he first started all the way back in Georgia. And so it got to the point where I was just like, I need to be in here just to have an idea of where you're going with stuff, because then I can help you elementally. I can help make sure that our show is flowing the right way, so I know what's coming up next in a little bit. And then it went from him basically telling me what he wants in the show to, over the past 2 years, we've really, we think very similarly now. And I'll give him counterpoints here and there, but there's times where he'll just look at me saying, hey, he has a lot more on his plate compared to what he was doing 3 years ago. So we both come into each show prepared to the max, and gotten to the point to where, yes, it's still his show. I can't go out there and deliver what he's doing, but I can give him all these materials to help, and counterpoints and different angles and different analogies for him to use, so that he doesn't have to try to focus on his show every waking hour of the day to make sure it's the best thing. He's now trusted me to the point, I'd like to think, to where it's a very much, I don't want to call it 50-50, but I'm a much bigger part of helping him deliver his content, to the point where I can almost hear myself in some of the things he says. And that's what really makes me proud, is that he's willing to take what I say sometimes and deliver it better than I could. But I know that, oh, wow, I really helped him make that point. Not to say that he wouldn't have gotten there on his own, but our working relationship has just been, it's the best I could have ever asked for. And it was just all about timing and getting to the right place. And I feel like right now I'm certainly in the right place here with Josh and the Late Kick crew.
No doubt about that. Producer Jesse joining us, giving us the insides, backstage, behind-the-scenes tour on what makes the Late Kick show what it is. One of, if not the best college football shows in America. My favorite college football show in America. Producer Jesse, what is the most fun you've ever had working on the show? Be it a segment, be an accomplishment. If I said to you most fun, what are you thinking of?
Oh, most fun. I mean, I look forward to going into show prep every day because Josh is he's just one of those guys that's like eccentric isn't even the right word for it. Like enigmatic. Like he has this aura around him in which, once he walks into a room, you just sort of begin to realize like, oh, like everything's sort of bouncing off of him. Like he's just a magnet. He has that sort of magnetism to it. But in terms of fun, I mean, working on the bold prediction segments, I think have been really fun because it's just going through people's sometimes asinine predictions and just being like, like how could we possibly go through and trash this as nicely as we can to make it's all in jest, it's all in fun. But that comes to mind. I mean, these game previews that we do on a weekly basis, I now have like actual charts and stuff that I make sure I fill out beforehand, and then I give it to him before we go in there and stuff like that. So, I mean, just being around him, I've gotten to travel to a couple of games with him too on his tours that he goes to. And I went to Auburn, Penn State last year, and really just got to soak in the environment. That was the first time I was ever at an SEC football game. And so just being in that sort of environment with, you could feel the passion from the crowd to start the game. Then, Penn State was able to do what they did in that game and make me a happy person leaving the stadium, one of the few. But just knowing that I'm going into work every day and I'm having fun, I get to work in college football. I'm not trying to do brain surgery. I'm not trying to go do anything else. Like it's all college football, and I get to work with one of the smartest guys in the industry.
No doubt.
Whether it comes to the show or just planning of so many bigger things, like to see how he operates it's pretty magnificent. And like the Pay State store, for example, Pay State material, he has a whole store of merchandise based off of everything that he's done. And it's just like, wow, like where else in the sports media industry can you find a solo act like that working within a bigger company that is willing to go into his negotiations and make sure that that's a part of it. Like, so overall, I just have fun every day at work. We have a great crew. Our production staff is full of fun people. And you would think putting on a high quality show, it'd be stressful every day, but it's not, because I know that ultimately Josh is going to go out there and he delivers 99 times out of 100.
What's it like, producer Jesse, when you go on those road trips with him? The Once Upon a Saturday tour. That's the correct name. I know we changed the name this year to Once Upon a Saturday tour. What's it like to see how recognized he is? Because, like, being where you guys are, you're in a bubble, right? You're in downtown Nashville. There's a ton of celebrities in Nashville. And you're in a bit of a bubble in your downtown building. I think it's the Country Music Television building downtown. What's it like to go on, the traveling road show circus with Josh Pate, and then you're seeing everybody recognize him, and it probably puts into perspective what you guys have built.
Yeah, I mean, so the first game that I traveled with was that Auburn Penn State game, which I spoke of. I'm just seeing all the people coming up to him, and just him being recognized. Like, that's great. He deserves everything that's coming for him. And then I was able to go to the Virginia-Tennessee game at the beginning of this year. And when I say that maybe double or triple the amount of people are yelling Pate State, or hey Josh, hey this, hey, do you have Academy gift cards? Like it's just almost like confounding, because it's like, how much has this show really grown over the last year? But I mean, you look at our viewership and our numbers, and of course it has, but it's not until you have those sort of moments that you begin to realize, like, oh wow, this is really reaching out to more people, to the point to where, I go out on these tours and he gets recognized, and he hates it. He'll never say that, but he's a person who likes to keep to himself. He's probably an introvert at heart. He just knows how to be extroverted. So I still think it's always nice to see him, like, be like, oh, hey, how you doing? And just know that, like, in a way, he's like almost has a little bit of social anxiety, but to see him just go and do that stuff, like, and it's great. I mean, just to see how much the show's grown. I mean, how many other producers around the country jumping on a radio show to talk about it just so you could talk to the producer of the show? It's very rare, and we're just blessed to be a part of what we're doing, and I couldn't be happier.
Producer Jesse, loved having a chance to sit in with you in August, man, and got a special feeling about you and your talent level and your commitment level. And really, I know I speak for our audience, the Offsiders here on the Fan Upstate, really appreciate the behind-the-scenes look on the It College Football Show in America. Great to meet you, Jesse, and let's do this again sometime, man. Thank you so much. All the best in the holiday season to you and yours, and nothing but continued success for you guys moving forward, okay?
Of course, I appreciate it, guys. I hope you guys all have a happy holidays, and keep tuning in. We got quite a couple of weeks of college football ahead of us, don't we?
We most certainly will. Must watch. Producer Jesse, all the best. Joining us here on Offsides, the Fan Upstate. Must watch the Late Kick Show Tuesday nights, Thursday nights, Sunday nights. And if you can't watch it live, it's there on YouTube. You'll find it right there. All right, we pick the 6 biggest games of the weekend, and we do it next. It's Wise Guys Wisdom here on Offsides. We are the Fan Upstate. South Carolina does not. Justin Rupert chimes in. Georgia, Oregon, Texas, Michigan. There you go. Texter says Mark and Lonzo back together brings back fond childhood memories. Texter says our 4 playoff teams, Michigan, Oregon, Texas, Alabama. It's time to pick the 6 biggest games of the weekend. It's time to get to Wise Guys Wisdom, which commences right now on the show. How about Oregon against Washington to lead us?
I thought maybe I didn't have something set up right. You're looking at me like,
well, usually we play
the
college football music or NFL music. But, and I was just, I didn't clue you into that. That's my bad. I just didn't know if you remembered or not, you know?
Dude, this is, I'm working on 12 and a half hours now.
Good,
so
it's all good. It's all good, brother. No worries. Oregon, Washington. Look, Oregon's got the 16th best defense in the nation. Washington is 89th in the nation. They're both elite offensively. Only Oregon is elite defensively, right? So therein lies the problem. Factor in the revenge factor as well. You've got, in my opinion, there you go, a very comfortable Oregon win for me. Oklahoma State and Texas. By the way, Lonzo, you got Oregon or Washington?
I have Oregon.
Oklahoma State against Texas. This is your upset pick of the week.
Absolutely, it is.
Why?
Just because you have to pick one.
Okay. Just because you have to pick
I
one.
had legitimate reasons, like around, I don't know, 6:37 this morning, but they've since went out the window.
Well, I'll tell you what.
You keep talking about how you don't believe Texas is the would this surprise you if they lost this game?
No, it wouldn't. Oklahoma State was trailing BYU 24-6 last week. They outscored the Cougars. Okay, no, I'm not talking about the above 40 years old Cougars. They stunned the BYU Cougars. They outscored them the rest of the way 34-10 when they were down 24-6 and they beat them in overtime. Otherwise, we would have had an Oklahoma-Texas rematch, which is what everyone really wanted to see. I don't think Texas loses this game, but I think it's closer than the experts think. I'll go Texas by 10. I will stick with the 10-point margin of victory. Georgia over Alabama. Give me 31-21 and a little bit more of a defensive struggle than folks think. Here's the reality of the situation, guys. Georgia's got the second best third down defense in the nation. What does that tell me? It tells me it's going to be hard on Jalen Milroe and company on third down. If Carson Beck is at his best, Georgia wins this game. Georgia, though, has a vulnerability. Red zone defense. They're only 66th in the country in red zone defense. TD percentage allowed. Alabama's 19th. I'll go Georgia by 10, but Lonzo, you're on the other side of the fence.
Roll Tide.
Iowa against Michigan. Funniest stat of the week. The over-under halftime point total for Iowa in this game is 0.5 points. So you can literally bet Iowa if they score in the first half, you win.
Wow.
You win.
You know, I want to jump in here and kiss the boss's butt because he's an Iowa fan, but I'm not going to do that because he owes me. So there's no way Iowa wins this game, is there? I mean, I would love to see Michigan go home, but it's not going to happen.
I don't think it's going to happen either, my friends. I do not see it. But I can't wait. Like, it's going to be really interesting, Lonzo, if it's like a 9-6 game in the third quarter. That's going to be really interesting.
If it's close at halftime, I think Iowa is going to come in there with a little bit of hope, and then who knows, maybe some magic could happen.
How crazy is it? I mean, like, think of the coaching job you have to do to win a division in the Power Five with literally the worst offense in all of college football. There are teams who suck, who say, what's the problem? We have no offense. Iowa's got that problem, and yet their record is 10-2.
I don't have the direct quote in front of me, but Iowa's coach said it would be it would be fun, basically, them figuring out the college football playoff if they could upset them. So, I mean,
Incredible. Listen, I can tell you this. I wouldn't want Florida to play Iowa. I wouldn't feel comfortable picking the Gators over Iowa. Worst offense in the sport or not.
Hey, I just want chaos. I want all the favorites to lose. It's not going to happen. That would be amazing to see what they would have to do to figure out how to fix this thing.
I'll go Michigan 21, Iowa 6. but I'll be watching intently. I will.
Will that quarterback actually throw the ball in this game?
We'll see. Florida State against Louisville. Look, a brutal one. How do you pick this one when you don't know if Florida State's even going to have its backup quarterback, Tate Rodemaker, in the concussion protocol? Slid late. I'm going to tell you the way it is. Slid late against Florida and was almost decapitated. And Florida got a bunch of penalties on the play, but you go back and watch it, he slid late. You know, like I don't know how you're supposed to play defense if you're going to flag a guy for hitting the quarterback in the head when the head is moving. Like the head is going from being 6 feet tall to 3 feet tall when the guy slides. I don't know how you're supposed to play defense in that. So I give Florida a little bit of an excuse there. At the same time, look, I think Florida State has come too far only to come this far. I think where there's a will, there's a way, and I think Florida State finds it. Give me Seminoles over Louisville, 23-20.
Yeah, overall, Florida State's a pretty good team, or they wouldn't be in the position that they're in, even with maybe the freshman has something. He may come in and show some people some things. And but Louisville, are they good enough to beat them, even with the third string? I don't think they are.
Let us see, my friends. I don't either. And one NFL game. This is crazy to me. Even Kyle Shanahan can't believe it. San Francisco is favored on the road at Philadelphia. Philadelphia is 10-1. Okay. Now, is this because Philadelphia doesn't blow teams out and most teams that win the Super Bowl do?
Now they're using the Kansas City formula. Either barely win or barely lose. That's what Philly's doing.
So is this because they've had a run of tough games? Buffalo last week playing for their playoff lives. You know, you can't get up so many weeks in a row. Or is this just because San Francisco's finally healthy? You notice that caveat, if San Francisco's healthy? But, like, if that is what you're basing your success on, I'm not betting on you. I'm not betting on you.
Come on.
If they're healthy.
Debo and CMC healthy? I mean,
well, not only that, Lonzo, but Brock Purdy's got the best rating in the league. He's got the best QBR.
When Debo and CMC are healthy,
Right.
when they're not, he just kind of looks like Mr. Irrelevant to a degree.
But again, you're taking a team from California, ocean, water, the Bay, against the best team in the league on the road. I'm taking Philadelphia at home.
Nah, I got San Francisco. Defense.
Philly's got a defense.
Yeah, but I think San Francisco's defense is better. And I have bias because of the defense, because there are two Ohio State guys.
Philadelphia, they added Kevin Byard at the trade deadline, one of the best trade deadline pickups. Listen, San Francisco could win this game. Okay, they could. But you're not going to get me to pick.
It's a preview of the NFC Championship. You know it is.
Team
you know it is.
On the road against the team with the best record in the NFL. I can't do that. You know, that would be crapping on merit that Philadelphia has achieved this year. All right. That is Wise Guys Wisdom for a Friday edition of the show. Good job, Lonzo, on the audio find. Appreciate that. And we've got the 6 o'clock hour coming your way next. Here on Offsides, we are the Fan Upstate. What's good, my friends? This is the most interactive sports talk show anywhere. It's Offsides. Mark Ryan and Diesel Alonso sitting in, and we are the Fan Upstate, rolling on until 7 o'clock p.m. today. Can I get an amen? Fantastic to have you guys with us this afternoon. Folks, want to remind you that the Furman Paladins will be in the FCS playoffs coming your way tomorrow. And that is a game that can be heard right here on the Fan Upstate. Very
11:30 for 11:30 for pregame, by the way.
11:30 for pregame coverage right here on the Fan Upstate. Super excited about that. Excited to witness what this is going to be.
Could they do it? Could they go all the way and win the whole thing?
You know, Alonso, I've got to be honest. You know, I'm Jim Carrey and Liar Liar. I was so disheartened by that loss to Wofford when they had everything on the line. Wofford had won one game all year. I know they say throw the records out when rivals do battle, but brother, they're the number 2 team in the FCS. They just had no business losing that game. You win that game, you have home field advantage throughout the playoffs, right? Then you play the national championship game in Texas.
But think about this though.
Game, I would say no.
Yeah, but think about this. All right, we talked about teams looking past other teams. Wofford hadn't won all year, so you're looking past them. So maybe this puts that fear in them to where they know that they've got to bring it for every game. Maybe this propels them all the way.
Look, this is they beat Chattanooga 17-14 last month, November 4th. So this is not going to be an easy game. Do they have the horses? Yeah. They're getting Tyler Huff back for this game. They're starting quarterback. That's exciting. They're getting a star running back for this game. And we're going to be pulling for them. There's no doubt about that. Okay? Absolutely pulling for them. But I got to be objective. All right? And I was so like Lonzo. When they lost to Wofford that next Monday, I lit into them. Really lit into them for really crapping the bed. And with everything on the line, you just can't do that. Now, and this is really what's gonna amaze you, is that like I actually asked Clay Hendricks, the coach of the team. Okay, I asked him. I said, Coach, you know, why do we always get coach speak? Like, do you ever just say we're way better than this team? Like, you know, like we should really destroy this team. Like all you hear is coach speak and got to respect this. They're really good at this position. And he goes, that's okay for you to say. It's not okay for me to say. And then Lonzo, legit, 2 days later, they go out and they lose.
Well, as far as the coach's speech, they have to be careful because even no matter what level of football or sports you are, if a coach says something, it's everywhere. It would be if he come out and said, you know what, these guys suck, and we got this. If he come out and said that, that would be everywhere. And then if you say that and then you go out and you lose, it's not a good look.
No, it isn't. It isn't a good look at all. Let's go ahead and get to the phones where Kevin Hines is joining.
I don't want to go to the phone call. I don't want to go to Kevin. All right, I'll push a button because you told me to.
Hey, Kevin, what's good, buddy? How you doing?
What's up, bud?
How you doing, man? What's up?
I got a scenario and I got a complaint. This is an offsides on all the penalties against the Bills in the Eagles game.
Okay.
The Bills had 11 penalties. The Eagles only had 4.
Okay.
The scenario is if Washington beats Oregon and then Michigan loses, Georgia loses, would Ohio State be able to jump up?
Well, I think they could. Yeah. Why not?
And saying if Texas loses too, though. Texas, I'm sure, would have to lose, or Florida State.
I don't think it's impossible for Ohio State to make it to the college football playoff. I do think there's a pathway through. They need Georgia to win, they need Florida State to lose, and they need Texas to lose. Okay? You get all that, it could happen.
I got my playoff picks. I'm sticking with the 4 favorites: Georgia, Michigan. I'm taking Washington over Oregon. But I'm taking Washington. I'm gonna keep Florida State in the playoff.
There you go. There you go. Kevin Hines, good to hear from you, buddy. Thank you so much.
You too.
Thank you so much for ringing us up, man. It is what's up?
I like hearing Zoe on the ride home. I don't get to mess with him during the mornings because of work times now.
Well, Zoe misses you messing with him. He really does.
No, I don't, Kevin. And Buffalo's horrible. How can you root for that team? I just want to say, don't get used to it, man. It's I'm working on 13 hours. I don't want to do this all the time. Are you kidding?
Scott Trey Davis coming in with his college football playoff picks. We have a college football playoff pick'em challenge for you guys. We need the 4 teams that are going to be in the college football playoff. There are 8 teams that are in contention for it. Lonzo, let's not make our brains work too hard. The 8 teams in contention are Georgia, Michigan, Washington, Florida State, Oregon, Ohio State, Texas, and Alabama. Who are the 4 among those 8 that are going to be in? We need you to text those to us on the carpro.com text line. Carpro.com text line is where you can get to us on the show. All right. And if you nail the 4 that are in, you'll get your choice. We'll grab a beverage in the month of December. Okay? You and I. If you successfully nail it, or if you'd rather, you can host a segment of this show, or you can get a personalized shout out, or you can get special recognition. All right, special recognition. How about this? We have got the Leo Santa Toy Drive coming your way, 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. on Thursday of next week and Friday of next week at Bon Secours Wellness Arena. It is a blue light Christmas. Join us in Greenville County and city law enforcement at Bon Secours Wellness Arena on December 7th and December 8th for Leo Santa, a local toy drive presented by attorney Rob Inario and Long Heating and Air, conducted by more than 105 plus off-duty law enforcement officers who fill their patrol cars with toys and gifts donated by the community for kids in our local area each Christmas. Each year, these fine officers work to bring smiles and joy to underprivileged children who would normally not experience the spirit of Christmas. Stop by the well and drop off unwrapped, newly purchased toys and meet our city's finest. Plus, say hello to your favorite radio personalities. See live demonstrations from the Greenville Police Department's Special Weapons and Tactics Team, and that's SWAT and the K-9 patrol units. Everyone deserves a Merry Christmas. Make a difference this holiday season. Make a difference, my friends, this holiday season. So we are certainly looking forward to that and want to invite you guys to check this out. Now, this to me is very, very interesting. Okay, very, very interesting. And to me, what are the scenarios involved in the playoff team by team this weekend? Okay, I actually believe that Texas is almost eliminated. Almost. All right. Why? Well, because I believe Georgia is likely in win or lose. And I believe that Alabama is in with a win. Well, how can you say that, Mark Ryan? Texas beat Alabama. Yeah, they did. And if I were making the decision, the head-to-head would matter most. But I'm predicting what I think the committee's what the committee's going to do, not what I would do. What I think the committee's going to do is say, well, Alabama's win over Georgia in December, number 1 Georgia counts for more than Texas's win over Alabama in September. And they're going to vault Alabama ahead of Georgia. Okay, so Georgia's in win or lose. I think Michigan's in with a win, out with a loss. Washington's in with a win tonight against Oregon, out with a loss. Florida State is in with a win, out with a loss. Oregon is in with a win, out with a loss. I think Ohio State is in with a Georgia win, an FSU loss, and a Texas loss. And I don't know. Does Texas get the nod over Ohio State if it comes down to those two? Well, if it comes down to voting for the best team, I think most people think Ohio State would beat Texas. But if the conference championship is what matters most, then Texas could get the nod, right? I just think that Texas needs a lot. Texas needs a Florida State loss, okay? Texas thinks that it needs an Alabama win over Georgia, but I think Georgia's in either way. So you start to play the numbers game here, and you start to say, okay, well, if Florida State beats Louisville, the Oregon-Washington winner's in. Michigan's not going to lose to Iowa. They're in. There's 3. And then the Georgia-Alabama winner is in. Where is the spot for Texas? You start to get into that numbers game that I think really paints a very difficult proposition for Texas. That has been really surprising people on this front here today. South Carolina receivers are entering the transfer portal like it's a Black Friday sale. It's a stampede to get out of South Carolina if you are a wide receiver for the Gamecocks. Why is that the case? Why do you think everyone is having a mass exodus at Beamer's program? Just a flood of players leaving. We got word yesterday, speaking to a couple media members, that the drip of players leaving South Carolina could become a flood. And I shared that. And the quote that I was told is that Beamer's doing everything he can to keep the band together, right? And it's not going so well, especially on the playmaking side of the ball. Everyone's leaving. Remember last year, Marshawn Lloyd left. There's plenty of Gamecock fans who are very, very frustrated about this. Lonzo, do you think it's within South Carolina's capability to cease being a feeder school or a minor league for the Florida States, for the Oregons, for the USCs of the world? And I ask that with this as the backdrop. Shane Beamer has said we're 12th out of 14 teams in NIL money, in NIL funds. If that continues to be the case, aren't any good players from South Carolina just going to go to the highest bidder?
See, that's really what it comes down to. I guess Gamecock fans need to pony up a little bit more. Because in this day and age, you want a player, you got to pay for him. So,
and that's what's hard, Lonzo. And this is the part, like, Diesel bristles at this, I bristle at this, and it's my point. We're not far removed, Lonzo, from a couple years down the road, people saying to you the same thing they do about presidential elections. Did you vote? Oh, if you didn't vote, then you can't complain. Did you pay for the South Carolina players?
I'm not complaining. So because
if you didn't pay,
if I had
you can't complain.
If I had that kind of money, I probably would do it.
$20 from me, $20 from everybody.
Yeah, I don't think that's still going to amount to the amount of money they need.
Everybody would amount to a lot. It would.
I've been to Columbia. There's some nice buildings there. There's some people with some money. They just need to come with a little more cash. That's all.
Texter says, where does Missouri rank in NIL dollars? Stop making excuses. Okay, well, you tell me where they rank in NIL dollars. I don't know. I know that they've got great coaching. I know that Missouri, in terms of recruiting rankings, the last 4 years is number 31. South Carolina's number 35, right? So if other schools can do it, why can't you do it if you are Shane Beamer? I'm beginning to feel ever so slightly that the belief in Shane Beamer is beginning to wane. I'll be honest with you, I haven't really been on the Billy Napier train since it's been there. Like whenever I say something about Beamer, Gamecock fans throw Billy Napier stats in my face, and I'm like, here's the difference. You want Beamer. I'm telling you, I don't think Billy Napier's the guy.
I have a solution for the Gamecocks.
What's that?
And it's gonna help me on two fronts here. Ryan Day is the answer to your problems. You bring in Ryan Day, he's going to turn your program around. You're not going to beat Clemson, but you're going to do something that you haven't done in forever, and that's win 10 or 11 games consistently. So bring in Ryan Day.
If I were to say to you guys right now, okay, Lonzo, can we put this on a poll on the Fan Upstate? Okay. Can we do that on Twitter?
I can't. I'm not going to act like that. I'm not going to do it.
Okay.
Because I am mentally capable of hardly anything at this moment.
If you could swap, if you're a Gamecock fan, would you swap Shane Beamer out for Ryan Day?
Oh, there would be no swapping. I mean, Beamer ain't going to Ohio State, but I mean,
No. I mean, just swap him out.
Oh, yeah.
You're swapping out Beamer.
Why would you not do that? I mean, come on.
Well, because you don't understand, Lonzo. They love Beamer.
You know what? So do I. I love Beamer. I love Beamer too. But if Ryan Day were to go there, then they would understand what winning's about.
Okay.
Except they wouldn't be able to beat Clemson. But
Mark, I don't hear Napier going after radio show hosts, so at least he's got that going for him. Oh, man. Okay, guys, we are going to get you the very latest on the Heisman. Isn't it clear who has to win the Heisman Trophy? So why is the wrong guy the favorite? And who does Brent Beard like in championship weekend? Heisman Trophy voter Brent Beard is next. Here on Offsides, we are the Fan Upstate. All right, Lonzo, Diesel usually has us having a hard out at 53. I don't know why, but it's what he usually does. So I typically plan to get out